Yeah, it's case number 394 on the calendar in the matter of Kephart versus Malone.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Ms. Kephart, we're going to take care of some easy stuff first before we get into the nitty-gritty of the alleged loan that you made to this former boyfriend of yours. Am I correct that you have a child together?
Yes.
How old is your child?
2.
How long have you lived together?
About 1.5 years.
First, the easy part is that you broke up, and when he left, he took a whole bunch of your clothes.
Yes.
And Mr. Malone says that he did take your clothes.
Correct.
But he took your clothes because he had bought them for you shortly before you separated, and so he took them, right?
Correct.
You can't do that.
He didn't. Can I?
Shh. You can't do that. Do you understand? That's a gift. I mean, unless you were cross-dressing, sir, in your closet, and you were wearing the clothes and you bought them for yourself. You're not going to tell me that, Mr. Malone, are you? In
No.
front of this person, you're not going to tell me
No,
that.
no.
Or
He
10
didn't
million
even buy
people,
them.
you're not going to tell me that. So you bought the clothes
You
for
didn't
her.
even pay for them, though.
Shh.
I'm sorry.
Listen. Don't aggravate me. It's very close to lunch.
She didn't even wear them, though. I mean, we went to Vegas.
I don't care if she wanted to pour bleach on them, or if she wanted to give them away, or if she wanted to let her dog walk around with them. They're her clothes. You can't take her clothes. Do you understand?
Even if I pay for them?
He didn't even pay for them. I'm sorry, but
I'm going to say goodbye to you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You don't want me to say goodbye right yet,
I'm
do you?
sorry. No.
She doesn't have to pay for them. They're a gift. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes, I do.
What did you do with the clothes?
Gave some of them away, and I sold some of them.
Fine. And how much did the clothes cost?
$7.97 and 15 cents.
So that's so far what you owe her, Mr. Malone. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's deal with the loans. When did you start to live together?
March 06.
And when was the first loan?
September this year.
So you were in your relationship for a
The
long
end of it.
time. You were living together as a couple, not married.
Right, and he just, yeah.
Are you married?
No.
You have other children?
Yes.
How many?
4 others.
4 others. What do you do for a living?
Construction.
You must be very, very busy with your construction business. Do you
Yes.
pay child support for your other children?
Yes, I do.
How much?
$83.16 a week.
$83.67 a week? For how many children? Shh. For how many children?
3 of them are actually mine. The 4th one I just claim as my own.
So you pay $83 a week for 3 children.
Yes.
And how much do you pay for this child?
None.
Why?
We haven't had a court order yet set.
Does that mean that your child is on hiatus from eating?
No. No, it doesn't. We haven't been talking much since this all
Well, that's
happened.
what we're here for. We're talking. Right?
Right.
Good. So let me first figure out, Mr. Malone, just so that you understand what the ground rules are. $83 divided by 3 equals $27 a week for each of your 3 children.
Correct.
We're going to divide that by 7, because there are 7 days in a week,
Okay.
equals $3.95 a day. Where'd you get all the bling?
Actually, from her.
Pawn it. Send it to your children.
I don't get to see him much. I mean, I was...
I don't care whether you see them. You were there when they were made, weren't you?
True.
They didn't ask to be made, and they don't ask to live poor. Who was this person?
This is my father.
Oh, he should be thrilled about you. Mr. Malone, how long you married to his mother?
4 years.
Stand up. How many children did you have, Mr. Malone?
2. That's all I have.
With his mother?
No, just him.
Did you support him when he was growing up?
Yes, I did.
How much did you send for his support, Mr. Malone?
Oh, my name's Mr. Bash.
Mr. what?
Bash.
Bash.
Yes.
So hard to keep track of these modern relationships. Whose last name is Malone?
My mother's.
Were you ever legally declared his father?
No.
It's not an answer.
No. She had did something with the birth certificate in order for me not to try to get custody of my son.
And did she?
Yes.
Sit down. It's like an epic. Sit. Listen, is this your mother?
Yes.
You know what she does when she looks at you? She says, "What happened to my gorgeous daughter? Where did her mind go? What was she thinking? What was she thinking?" How many children do you have?
3.
How old are they?
13, 10, and 2.
And the 13 and 10-year-old live with you?
Yes.
Does their father support them?
Yes.
Does he see them?
Yes.
One father,
Yes.
When was the first loan that you made to him, and from what money?
The first loan was September 27th. Actually, they were all paid $1,000.20.
For what?
His DUI.
Who had a DUI? I'm listening.
Well, I asked her initially to pay for it before she came to any money at all, and she said she wouldn't.
Why did you ask her to pay for it?
Because I didn't have the money.
Why don't you go to your father? He hasn't paid for you since you were born. Why'd you bring him here? Why'd you schlep him here for today? Instead of going to a woman who's got 2 children that she's taking care of, why don't you go to your father? Go to your mother.
He was a sweet talker.
Just as...
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're getting very close to the door, Ms. Kephart.
Sorry.
Very close to the door.
Well, he wouldn't pay for it. I'm assuming because I've asked him before, because I've had fines before, and he wouldn't pay for them. So
You got fines before for what?
for driving, well, with no license, suspended.
Your fines were $1,020?
Right.
Who do you think's supposed to pay for those?
Well, she offered.
No. Who do you think is supposed to pay for those? You know what the fine is for?
For DUI.
Fine is like a punishment. Instead of putting you miscreants in jail for everything, because we don't have enough jails, if I were running the nut house, we would just build more jails. But because we don't have enough jails, we came up with this system of imposing fines as a form of punishment. If you do something wrong, you park where you're not supposed to park, you speed, you don't stop at a stop sign, you get punished. And your punishment is a fine. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Go.
She pays my fines for me. She doesn't have to drive me around anymore because now I can get my license. It's easier on her. The convenience for her is she gets it,
You're an idiot.
And later today,
She doesn't have to prove anything. You have to prove it, sir.
Okay, you're right.
What do you mean I'm right? Of course I'm right. That's why people adore me, because I'm right.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Kephart says the father of her child, William Malone, owes for the value of her clothes that he won't return, an unpaid loan, and for his share of a trip to Las Vegas.
Now, it's not a punishment for you if somebody else does your punishment. I mean, can you imagine a system that we would have, Mr. Malone? If you got 30 days in jail, which was your punishment for DUI, and you said, you know what? I really don't want to do this 30 days myself. I'm going to get Officer Byrd to do the 30 days for me. I'm going to ask him a favor and say, I really don't want to do it. I can't afford to do it myself. I have to be out. I have things to do. So why don't you do me a favor? Go and do my jail time for me. Do you think we allow that in this country?
No.
You know why we don't allow it? Because if you do the crime, you're supposed to pay your own fines. You get it?
Yes, but
This is a yes, but.
But she
This
did.
is a yes, but. He doesn't know how close he's coming to giving me that bling. Go.
Well, if she pays my fines for me, she doesn't have to drive me around anymore because now I can get my license. It's easier on her. The convenience for her is she gets it, she gets.
You're an idiot. What else does he owe you for?
I took him on a Vegas trip,
That's your problem.
but you know what? Can I tell
No. Listen, when you went to Vegas with him, did you share a room?
Yes.
Share a bed?
Yes.
Did you have a good time? Was it before or after you paid the fines for him?
It was after. I was going to take my mom, but he offered to pay the whole
She
thing.
wasn't as cuddly. Your mom wasn't as cuddly. Probably a lot smarter, but not as much fun. Vegas trip you take care of yourself. You owe her $1,817, Mr. Malone.
There was a fine I paid of his for $533.
No, did she pay a fine for you also?
There was another fine across the river.
Another fine?
Yes.
How much?
$503.34 and $360.
What was $360?
This had something to do with the DUI, and the $503.34 had something to do with something with him and his ex.
What was that all about, sir?
Me and my ex got into a domestic.
Me and my ex. And I assume you mean my ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend.
And myself.
Right.
Got into an altercation.
Correct.
That resulted in a fine for me for domestic violence.
Right.
You see? Shorthand.
It's the way of the world.
Now, that fine, sir, is a punishment She didn't hit your ex-girlfriend. Mr. Bash! Did you hit his ex-girlfriend?
No, ma'am.
Who hit his ex-girlfriend?
Apparently it was my son.
And who do you think ought to pay his fine?
Well, he should pay it.
And what was the other one?
$360.
What was that for?
When I paid the DUI, they said this was an additional fee with it. It was for $360. I don't know what.
Do you know what that's for, sir?
I'm assuming it would be for my lawyer. I had a court-appointed lawyer.
Why did you have a court-appointed lawyer? You're in construction.
I wasn't making enough money.
How much do you earn?
About $10 an hour.
What kind of construction do you do?
I make electrical panels.
Oh, well, you should get a job outside doing real construction work. It pays a lot better. And you have big expenses, sir. Tell her she has enough children. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,670. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm happy with the decision to finally prove what kind of a guy this guy is.
Maybe I shouldn't take advantage so much.
Stay away from guys like that.
I wish I didn't have to go to court for all this and put on my laundry on the street, but, you know, hey, she got her money. She deserved it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Davis. Step forward.
18-year-old Janelle Johnson is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Willie Davis, for the cost of earrings he purchased on her behalf. Janelle says Willie used her debit card to buy the gift.
Miss Johnson, according to your complaint, the defendant was a friend of yours, and it is your claim that he bought some jewelry for you, and it was a gift, but he put it on your credit card.
It was in my name. I wanted to establish credit, so I had him put it in my name.
Put the charge in your name. Was it a charge from a store, or was it a credit card?
It was his debit card.
And he didn't pay you for it. So
He paid the first fee when you go in the store. After that, he didn't pay anymore.
The defendant acknowledges that,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
Yes.
He was
Your
supposed to pay for the jewelry,
Honor. Your Honor, yes.
that he only made one payment.
Yes.
He doesn't say why he didn't make the rest of the payments, but says that you owe him some money that he loaned you for something, rent and some damage you did to his car. When did you buy this jewelry?
It was purchased sometime in June.
Tell me about how it got purchased. You were shopping with him?
He was going to Germany, I believe, he's in the military, and I wanted to establish some kind of credit because we went to purchase a phone together, and I found out I had no credit. So,
were you dating him, or?
Yeah, that's the thing. We dated maybe 4 days before he actually purchased the earrings. So when I went to the jewelry store, and the only reason why I wanted it in my name was for credit, but the only one condition, that it would be taken out of his bank account every month.
Just a second. He acknowledges that he owes you for the jewelry. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why didn't you pay her?
Because, Your Honor, I lent her money for her rent. And as well, okay, go ahead, Your Honor.
Just a minute. So that's what you're claiming?
Yes.
You're claiming that you didn't pay the debt that you owe because you loaned her money for rent.
Well, actually, what happened is she backed my car up into another person's car, and she cracked my bumper. On my way to Mexico, my bumper flew off because of what she did. So I call her and I tell her, I said, you know, you're gonna have to pay. I want my money back from the rent, as well as I want partial of what happened to my truck. And she lost it. She said she's not paying for nothing. She's gonna get her money one way or another.
Well, sir, there is a paucity of evidence there on your side, sir, which means that you have no evidence unless you're
right, Your
hiding
Honor.
it someplace
No,
in
I'm
your
not- I'm
pocket.
not hiding it. I don't have any
like
evidence.
a picture of the car, like a bill to fix the bumper of the car. Where is all that?
I don't have it, Your Honor. But maybe Janelle should tell the truth.
She doesn't have to prove anything. You have to prove it, sir.
Okay, you're right.
Of course. What do you mean I'm right? Of course I'm right. That's why people come here. That's why
Okay.
people adore me, because I'm right. Do you ever watch my courtroom?
No, Your Honor.
Then it was a big mistake for you to come here.
Okay.
Big. Because there are a lot of people that watch this courtroom every day.
Okay.
And a lot of people are going to see you making a fool out of yourself. How did you pay her rent, in check or cash?
I used the check, Your Honor.
Show me the check.
I don't have proof of it.
Why not?
Well, Your Honor, timing. I just had bad timing.
You had bad timing. What does
Yes.
that mean, Mr.
Because I
Davis?
work as well, Your Honor. I couldn't find time, you know.
To what?
To go and get proof.
You don't have to go anywhere, sir. You just bring your checkbook. And you go to the car place that fixed your car and you say, can I have a receipt? Because I can't find mine. Duh.
Okay.
All right, how much does he owe you on the ring?
It's $1,044.85 plus $74.24, which comes to $1,119.09. And then he paid $230 on his debit card, so $889.09.
Okay, you have any finance charges now?
Yes, I have late fees, total of $87.77. That's not counting the last month. I just paid $330 on the bill 2 weeks ago. That's not counting that, but $30 the subpoena, which I have because he failed to, I guess, take it, and then $50 of the cost to remove from collections, because this is when on my credit, affected my credit. Because it's on my credit.
Then you shouldn't have done it. Do you understand? You didn't need the earrings that badly.
It wasn't, Your Honor. He said he was going to get the earrings for me anyway, and I wanted them in my name so I could get credit. That's how it even came to he got them.
You knew him for 4 days.
No, I didn't. I knew him for 3 years, Your Honor. He's my
You
best.
were dating him for 4 days.
But I've known him longer than that. It doesn't matter how long I've dated him.
Mr. Davis, you owe $1,000. And if you wanted to bring a countersuit, which you filed, you should have been smart enough to bring some proof.
Well, Your Honor, I was working on it, but like I said, I work as well, so it was, it was hard for me
You're a
to
hustler.
do. Nah,
That's being a hustler. That's trying to hustle me.
no, I'm trying to
You know how
hustle.
many cases I've done in the 12 years that I've been in this court? Tens of thousands. Do you know that nobody has ever said to me, well, Your Honor, you know, I was real busy. You know, and I didn't have time because I have a job, so I couldn't get proof.
Nah.
Nobody has ever said that to me, sir. They've given me all kinds of, you know, the dog ate my checkbook, right? The snake swallowed the pictures. But I never heard, I was too busy, I couldn't get anything. Nothing. My
I didn't wanna lie
checkbook,
to
my
you, Your
checkbook,
Honor.
my...
I didn't want to lie, so I told, I mean, that's the truth.
It's not the truth.
Okay.
It's not the truth. Where's the car?
It's back in my place.
Where's the car? Does it have a bumper on the back?
Nope. It's
If
missing.
it doesn't have a bumper on the back, sir, do you have a cell phone?
I do, but it doesn't have a camera on it, Your Honor.
It doesn't need a camera, sir. You see where I was going? All you have to do is spend $5 and go buy a disposable camera.
You're right, Your Honor.
How long did it take you to put that outfit together today for television? Right? To put the
not very
earrings
long.
in. How long? That amount of time when you go down to the local drugstore and you buy a camera for $5, you take a picture of the back of your car without a bumper. That's evidence. Then you wouldn't come here looking like a fool.
You're right, Your
Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Rawlins, parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Tarrant, Miss Rawlins is or was married to your grandson.
Right.
And according to your complaint, she and your grandson lived with you for a period of time.
Yes.
And then they separated. She left.
Yes.
So far, is that correct?
Majority of it.
What's wrong with what I said?
We did live with her and everything, but my husband asked me to leave.
Well, you separated. That means you
Yes.
did separate.
Yes, and we are still married.
They separated.
Yes.
She left.
Yes.
And then you claim that she came back to get some of her property.
Yes,
When
twice.
she came back to get her property, there was an altercation involving you, as a result of which you broke your wrist in 4 places.
Yes.
And the defendant also took some property of yours.
Yes.
The defendant says you fell, she had nothing to do with breaking your wrist, and she has no property of yours. Is that right?
The only property I have of hers is this bag that she asked for. And I've been asked
Anything
my
in the
husband to
bag?
get it. I have no idea. I've never opened it.
Can I get the bag?
It
over here,
wasn't
please?
mine. I put it off to the side.
Okay, let's see what's contained in the bag. And then we'll get to this altercation. Well, one of the things you said she took was camera. Is
Right.
that right? This looks like a camera case, and there's a camera in here.
Yes.
Okay. And a couple of other odds and ends, but I assume that this is the majority of what you're asking for back.
Yes, it looks like.
Okay, good. So let's give this back to the plaintiff, please. So then we're just going to deal with this injury to your arm and this assault. A few questions. What date did your husband ask you to leave?
June 29th.
How long had you been living with the plaintiff?
We moved in there July 5th, 5 days after we were married.
Of the previous year?
Mm-hmm.
So you were there almost a year?
Almost a year.
And who moved in? You, your husband, and you have a child?
Yes.
How old is your child?
She's 5.
But she's not the child of this marriage?
No, she's not.
Now, when your husband asked you to leave, did he ask you to leave on the 29th of June?
Yes, he did.
So you must have had an argument.
I'm not really sure. He was been very stressed lately and said he needed some time and asked me to leave, and so
And you
I
did. When he asked you to leave, did you give him your key?
No, from my understanding, he just needed time. He just needed a little space.
And what did you tell Miss Tarrant when you left?
I did not speak to any of them.
Really? I mean, you
Yeah.
lived with the lady for a year. You didn't have any conversation with her at all?
No, my husband asked me to leave, and I grabbed my daughter and a couple things, and we left. I figured I was coming home that night.
But you didn't come home that night.
No, I did not.
Why not?
I said he needed more time.
Now, when was this incident when you did, in fact, return, and there was an incident involving Miss Tarrant and her wrist?
That was the first time I spoke to her. That was August 2nd.
Tell me about it.
We arrived at the house.
Who's we?
Me, my couple family members, my friends.
How many people arrived in the house?
Oh, in the house there was 9 total, I believe.
That you brought with you?
Yes, to move my things out. I had not spoken to my husband, refusing contact. I figured...
He refused contact?
Yes. And I figured my daughter's going to be starting school. I need more of her things, and I also needed more clothes. And so we went to go get my things, and upon arriving, found all of them packed up and shoved into one little room of the house.
How did you get into the house?
With the key.
The key that you had?
Yes.
Didn't it occur to you to call Miss Tarrant first and say, we're coming over to get my things?
Well, my things were there. My husband and I are still married. That is also my husband's home.
Does this home belong to whom?
Both her and my husband.
It's my home, but I put my grandson's name on it for when something happens to me, he'd be able to sell it.
When you met your husband, where was he living?
In an apartment.
In an apartment?
Yes, because he didn't want to live with his grandmother anymore.
Fine. But at some point you moved in with her.
Yes.
So you and your husband moved into her home.
Correct.
So it didn't occur to you, Miss Rawlins, to pick up the phone as a human being and say to her, I'm coming with 9 people to your house to get my property? Is that time okay for you? Is that day okay for you? I haven't been there in over a month. That strike you as something that would have been a nice thing to do?
Well, every time I called the home or whatever, I was usually hung up on. So I did not have that opportunity.
Did you ever speak to her?
No.
Well, your husband works. Is that
Correct.
true? Did you
And
ever
that's why we went during the day, because I knew he would be gone and she would be there. She usually never leaves the home.
Good, so that you knew that she would be there. Why didn't you call her first and say, we're coming over to pick up my stuff? Is today a good time for you?
Because it was a good time for me and I was just going to go get my things.
Well, you got a lot of nerve. You got a lot of nerve. The lady takes you into her home with a child that's totally unrelated to her. You stay there for a year. You and your husband have some sort of a falling out, and I don't even want to get into that because I have no idea what it's about. But you're gone for well over a month. You don't come by yourself to pick up a few little things. You come with 9 people invading her house without so much as a telephone call first, and you expect her not to get agitated?
No, I understood why she was agitated.
You did.
But I also felt that, and she said herself that I was there to pick up my things.
But you understood she was agitated because 9 people invaded her house.
Oh, no, when she got there, none of us were in there, except for the minister's wife, who was keeping her dogs under control so they didn't get loose.
Tell me how you broke your wrist.
After I came home and seen everything was in the trucks, I seen some things out in the truck that my grandson told me not to let her take. And so I was walking out toward the trucks. She grabbed a hold of my arm, and I have osteoarthritis, so I'm not really that stable. That's why I can't run. I have to walk slowly. And as she grabbed my arm and turned me around, I fell. And I went down on my right wrist.
You have the medical records?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them, please?
Can I get help? Because she has everything.
Sure.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to hear your version of what happened, how her wrist got broken.
I'm assuming her wrist got broken when she fell.
Yeah.
There was trucks and cars and everything in the driveway and so on. We were moving out. And she came out of the back porch door and started yelling. And then she had noticed a vacuum cleaner that was in the back of my stepfather's truck, which was parked out on the road. And she just said, "You're not taking that vacuum," and started running. And right about the part where the grass and the sidewalk meet, there's holes and everything in that yard, and I'm assuming she fell. I was pushing a lawnmower in the driveway at the time and walked over there to help her. Said, "Grandma, look what you did," and tried to help her up, and that was when she proceeded to throw the phone that she had in her hand at me, and I decided to walk away.
Good, you're responsible for her broken wrist. I don't care whose version of the events is accurate.
How is
I don't
that?
care whether you held her and twisted her around or she fell when she was running after one of the trucks that you brought with you. You're responsible. You created the situation by not making a prior arrangement with her and invading her home with 9 people who were uninvited to her home to clean.
They knew I was coming.
Who's they?
They all did. They packed up my things. They were waiting for me to come get my things.
On that day?
I didn't even know my things were packed up. They assumed.
Listen, don't be a swift talker. You understand exactly what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is they had packed up your things, put them away in an orderly way. You said in one corner of a room. That's what you told me.
It was all shoved into one room.
That's fine, shoved into one room. It was all packed up. She was expecting a telephone call from you to say, Grandma, can I come over on the 2nd of August to pick up my things? Is that okay with you? Sure. You're going to bring people? Yes, I'm going to bring 9 people with me to your house. 9 people to help me move. Because I know you're going to be alone that day, because I know he's working. So I'm going to come with 9 people, some of whom you know, some of whom you don't know. We're going to come into your house. I just want you to be alert to that so that you don't get frightened, you don't get scared. You did none of that. You just went when it suited you. It didn't suit you to go on August 1st. It didn't suit you to go on July 29th. It didn't suit you to go on July 28th. It suited you to go on August 2nd. Maybe it didn't suit her for you to go. Maybe she was having a bar mitzvah for somebody in her house on August 2nd. And it wouldn't be convenient for her, for you to be removing stuff with 9 trucks. So you are responsible. Because if she got agitated because you hadn't made arrangements for an orderly transition.
But that was still considered my home.
It is not. No way. No way is it your home. You abandoned your home. You abandoned her home.
I did not abandon the home.
Oh, yes, you did. You abandoned the home. You were gone for 32 days, according to you, and decided that that would be a good day for you to come and retrieve your property. And you and your husband moved into her home. He didn't live there when you got married. You said he lived in an apartment. And the 2 of you moved in, maybe because his apartment was unsuitable for you and your child. But you moved into Grandma's house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
he promised to pay me back. But then he comes over to my place and he goes, Janice, just consider yourself a $5,000 hooker.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carol Tarrant says her granddaughter-in-law, Stacy Rollins, owes for breaking her wrist and stealing her property. Stacy says Carol's injuries are her own fault.
You moved in to her house, and you knew it was her house, so you're responsible for her injuries. Got a lot of nerve. Do you have any medical coverage for these bills?
Medicare paid most of it.
Okay, so you're really suing for pain and suffering.
Well, I have a $9,000 hospital bill that they didn't cover.
Really?
Yes.
Why not?
They paid $2,000 of it.
And they didn't cover $9?
No.
And you still have the house in your name?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's a problem. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew that Judge Judy would get the truth.
I guess she just got what she wanted, like she usually does.
I don't know what I could have done. I had the phone in my hand. I guess I should have called the police as I was walking out.
There's no settling outside the courtroom with this family.
It was very frustrating.
She's playing this little innocent act in front of the judge of an elderly lady. And she's not.
I was so upset when I came to her home and she was holding her arm.
I do feel sorry, but she shouldn't have been running through the yard like that.
She was in a lot of pain.
Relation with the son, I'm sure everything's just deteriorated, unfortunately.
I just hope everything can be settled and that they could just leave us alone.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeMars versus Bona, step forward, please.
Food server Janice DeMars is suing her ex-boyfriend, computer technician Rockford Bona, for an unpaid loan to start a business. Rockford says the money wasn't a loan, it was an investment.
Mr. Morris, you and Mr. Bona were in a relationship several years ago, and you claim that you made a loan to him. He was starting up a new business. You want that money back. How much did you loan him?
$5,000, Your Honor.
Mr. Bona says that this was never a loan. This was an investment that you made in his business. I've read your papers very carefully. I want you to tell me when you gave him the money and tell me about the circumstances surrounding you giving him the money.
Okay. I met him in 1998, and July 23rd, 1999, I was over at Rocky's house, and we discussed a loan about him creating some software. So I went home, got the money, and put it in the bank. Jim came with me. So I do have a witness. I have the receipt because he gave me a deposit slip. And that was the circumstances of the loan, and I did want it back. It was never a gift.
He didn't say it was a gift. All right, now you tell me your end, Mr. Bona, and then I'll make a judgment. Go ahead.
All right, Your Honor. First of all, this is really not about money. It's about relationship issues.
Let me hear about the money first.
Okay.
You worry about the relationship. I'll worry about the money.
I was working for a company, and Janice here was with me when I was talking to the marketing guy about how the company was going to try to solicit investors for the software. She got excited about it and wanted to invest in it. I said, great. First of all, it's not my company, and she dealt with them directly, not I.
I did not, Your Honor.
Where did you put the money?
I did not take the money, Your Honor. She put it in the company herself.
Put it in your account.
I put it in his account. He gave me a deposit slip, and I put it in the bank in St. Cloud because he lives in Ham Lake, which is 60 miles away or so.
Well, did the money eventually find its way to your account, sir?
Not to me personally, no. Your
To whom?
I have a receipt.
Shh. To whom?
To the corporation I was working for.
Okay. Were you a shareholder in this corporation?
No.
Did they go out of business?
Correct.
When did they go out of business?
2000.
I was never notified. He never kept me informed about any business loan. It was not a business loan. It was
Sure it
personal.
was. You want to know why it was, Mr. Morris? And I'm going to tell you why. Because I read your complaint very carefully. This is what you said in your complaint. We discussed from the beginning that I would not get any money back for at least 2 or 3 years because that is how long he expected it would take to make a profit. That's what you wrote. Bert, that is right, isn't it?
But after 2 years, he didn't even try to pay me back.
right.
He never called.
He doesn't. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Whatsoever.
This is what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Morris. So this was money, whether it was an investment or a loan. It is clear to me that the intention was that you would get your money back when the company made a profit.
That was
Here are your
this-
words. I'm going to read them again, Mr.
discussed
Morris.
that way.
I'm going to read them again. We discussed from the beginning that I would not get my money back for at least 2 years because that is how long he expected it would take to make a profit.
Yeah, if he would call me up, keep me informed, and let me know what's going on. He never did anything like that.
Hey,
And
it's
it
your
was like-
money, so you've got to be smart enough to call him.
Yeah, I guess.
You've got to be smart enough to call the company. That's your job.
Well,
That's your
he
job.
He took advantage of me. He
So
really
take
did.
advantage of you. What does that have to do with me? You gave him money. You invested in either him or the company. Clearly, you expected to get money back. You expected
Yes,
to
I
get
did.
your money back
Yes,
from
I
the
did.
company.
Well,
Because
it
that's
was a
what you said in your
Yeah.
sworn complaint. When the company made a profit, you expected to get your money back. That's what you said.
Well, I expected him to let me know what was going on. There was no papers filed
Well,
about the
that's-
company whatsoever.
My
I put it
dear,
in-
there were no papers filed that this was a loan.
And
there were no papers filed that this was a loan.
Then I do have.
I, Mr. Bona, agreed to repay Mr. Morris $5,000 within 2 years because the money she gave me is a loan.
I have 2 personal receipts that were signed by him too.
For?
$2,000 and $500 apiece.
That has nothing to do with this. What are you bringing this in for? I'll see those.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see those.
He promised to pay me back.
Shh, just a second. What is it? Here you go. Now, this wasn't the $5,000. Is that right, Mr. Morris?
No, this is.
This wasn't the $5,000.
No.
So he promised to pay you these 2 things. I received $2,500 from Mr. Morris and promised to pay her back. I owe Janice DeMars $2,500 for 1 engagement ring set, right? Now,
Yes,
you're not
but
suing for any of this, but when he gives you a loan, he gives you a note.
But then when he agreed to come on the show, he comes over to my place and he goes, Janice, I'm going on the show for a favor for you. Just consider yourself a $5,000 hooker. And that's
Mr.
what you
Morris,
told me. And it's
Mr. Morris,
ridiculous.
Mr. Morris, he may not be a nice person, madam.
No, he's not.
Very good. You gave him $5,000 anticipating this company was going to make money. It didn't make money. It went out of business. You should have kept better
Where's
track
the
of your
proof?
money. Your case
Where's
is
the
dismissed.
proof?
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, it's totally
Calendar in the matter of Wallentyne versus Tomaselli. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Wallentyne, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you at a party, causing you physical injury. You had substantial dental bills. You still have some work that has to be done. you want to be compensated for the assault. Mr. Tomaselli says that you started it, he finished it, and you were unruly. You touched him first, and he acted in self-defense. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What is your name?
Amber Trill.
This is the lovely Amber. Sit down, Amber. I'm not with you yet, but I will be. When did this happen, Mr. Valentine?
If I could recall the exact date, it would be
The questions
April
are going to
3rd.
get harder. Listen to me, Mr. Valentine. The questions are going to get harder. The date should be something that's fixed in your memory.
The night of April 3rd, 2004.
See, we're not going to play with each other. The only one that has a good time here is me. And you and the lovely Miss Amber were at a party together?
Yes.
Whose party was it?
Kind of my party, a going-away party.
Going from where to where, Mr. Valentine?
I am from New Mexico, so I was visiting. I do live in Seattle right now.
And in whose house was the party?
It was kind of an office building that they renovated into a music venue.
And how did Amber get to the party?
On her own, driving.
You don't know how she got there?
No.
Was she a friend of yours before April 3rd of 2004?
Yeah, we've known each other for about 3 years.
But you did not know Mr. Tomaselli?
I did not know.
All right, so give me your version, please, of what happened on the evening of April 3rd.
It was going well. The music was going. I did notice Ed and his friends hanging out at the party earlier. I didn't.
Mr.
I'm
Valentine,
sorry.
could you try to focus on me, sir? Focus on me. Not up in the air, not in the heavens, not at your shoes. Try to focus on me. So when you're thinking, you can think and look at me at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
To my left, Amber was standing in the corner, talking with some friends. We gave each other a hug. We ended up talking for about another 5 minutes. Finished, continuing going into the hallway where Ed was standing. Said, "Oh, hi, Ed. This is my friend PJ." "Hi, Ed." And instead of extending his hand out to greet me, he just cocked back and punched me in the face. And at that point, I started bleeding. I stepped back and exited, went to my car because I'm bleeding. I didn't want to fight. I just went, to my party.
How come you didn't call the police?
Because he had left already. Sure, I could call.
How do you know he left already if you went to your car?
Because Amber dragged him out, and I noticed this while I was leaving.
Okay, Mr. Tomaselli, now let's hear your version of the events.
On this night, I'd gone to the party. I was with my friends.
How did you get to the party?
I had taken Amber out for a couple of cocktails earlier, and while we were having cocktails, I don't drink, but Miss Triolo was. She said she was going to a party she was going to bartend at. "Would you like to go?" I said, "Sure." We were going to hook up, go to this party, hopefully go home later to my house. Maybe not. We weren't an item at that time.
Could we? Listen, I'm not interested in the potential romance.
Okay, but this is how I got there.
Shh. I'm just interested in how you got there. So you knew her before.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long had you known Amber?
About a year and a half.
Had you dated?
Yes, Your Honor.
You dated exclusively or just off and on?
Off and on.
All right. So you saw her on the evening of April 3rd. You had a couple of drinks with her, and then she invited you to come to this party.
I did not drink, Your Honor. I don't drink. I haven't drank in years. I'm a wrestler, athlete, professional athlete.
Okay.
I didn't drink, so I went to this party. Amber was already there. We were standing in a circle.
Who was we?
Me, my friends, and Amber.
Could you look at me when
Mr. Valentine came in from outside, started snuggling up next to Amber. Amber introduced us all. I said, "That's messed up," because they were snuggling. I thought I was going to be with Amber, so I walked away. When I was walking away, Mr. Valentine came up behind me, pursued me down this hallway, and said, "What's up, dog?" Okay, he did not put his hand out. He had his hand clenched, and he reached out to me. Through my experience...
How did you see that, sir, if you were walking away and he was behind you?
I was in the hallway where I turned around to see what was going on. I walked through the hallway. There was a lot of people. I turned around to see where my buddies were, and Mr. Valentine was behind me.
Yes.
He put his hand on my shoulder, said, "What's up, dog?"
How did he put his hand on your shoulder?
Reached out towards me.
Touched your shoulder?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
At that time, I turned around and said, "I'm not your dog." And yes, I did hit him. Through my experience and expertise, I know when someone comes up behind you and says, "What's up, dog?" he has bad intentions. A man this size has the potential of hurting me, someone my size, very badly.
All right, Amber, front and center. You and Mrs. Tomaselli were out earlier that evening?
Yes.
Mr. Tomaselli did not drink?
No.
You got to the party? You went with him?
No.
You went in your own car?
I believe so, yes.
Try getting it more specific than that. Did
Yeah,
you go in
I
your own
drove.
car or did you go with Mr. Tomaselli?
No, I drove.
So you met there?
Yes.
Why do I feel as if I'm telling the story by myself? These are not trick questions. They may get harder, but right now they're not trick questions, Amber. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You were present at the time that Mr. Valentine was struck in the mouth?
Yes.
Tell me how that happened. Try looking at me when you tell me how that happened.
We were talking, Patrick and I, and Mr. Tomaselli walked up and I said, "Hey Ed, how's it going?" You know, I gave him a hug, told him hi, and I introduced him to PJ, and instead of them meeting each other, he just socked him in the face.
Why would he do that?
Jealousy.
He wasn't drunk or anything, right?
No.
He was clearly angry because he said, "Hey, that's messed up." Right, Mr. Tomaselli?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, who are you?
My name's Kyle McElroy.
Kyle, you were there that day.
I was there that evening.
Good. And I know that you're dying to tell me your version of these events, aren't you, Kyle?
I can't wait.
Well, then just step up here, Kyle. Kyle, how old are you?
I'm 21.
How long have you known Mr. Tomaselli?
I knew none of the parties that night.
How'd you get to this party?
Through a friend of mine. It's a Wednesday night kegger. That, as far as I knew, it was like a deal that they had every Wednesday.
Wednesday night, the West Wing is on. Why would anybody want to go to a kegger?
So, would you like me to tell
I
my story?
would.
You? Okay. Like he said, we were standing there talking. Amber, we were sitting there talking to Amber. This guy walked up. We were introduced. We were standing there. Then Ed got, frustrated, decided to...
Just a minute. I'm going to ask you to speculate. Why did Ed get frustrated?
Well, like you say, the girl he thought he was coming to meet at the party was...
Canoodling.
Canoodling. So...
With somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I saw Ed walking away. The guy kind of came up behind him and kind of turned his shoulder. "What's up, dog?" Ed said, "I'm not your dog."
Well, you just did something. You said, "What's up, dog?" And then you did something like extend your hand.
But kind of, yeah, well...
What does that mean? Well,
like I said...
Touched him on his shoulder, right?
Yeah. Ed took it as a threat, obviously. Punched the guy.
You can sit down.
Thank you.
You too. Mr. Tomaselli, you're clearly a very powerful young man. You are proficient in the martial arts.
Yes, Your Honor.
One of the things that they teach you, because I know I have grandchildren who take these martial art classes, is you're supposed to be able to control yourself, Mr. Tomaselli, right?
Yes,
it's all
Your Honor.
about control, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't think you controlled yourself well that night, Mr. Tomaselli. I think you got very angry. You can't even make an excuse that you had something to drink, but you hurt him badly. And there was no aggression on his part, not even according to your witness. He was probably stupid drunk, but he's just sort of a big goof. Mr. Tomaselli, I want you to trust me. He's really just sort of a big goof.
If you say so, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Tomaselli, he didn't come up behind you, spin you around, and punch you. He came up, put his hand on you, and said to you, "What's up, dog?" Now, I don't know what that means, and I may be out of things. My children are older than Officer Bird's children. Do you know what "what's up, dog" means? What does it mean?
How you doing, man?
How you doing? That's what it would seem to me to mean. What's up, dog? It's not necessarily a term of endearment, but it's not, choose your weapons. We're going to, we're going to joust.
Not from my mouth, at least.
Oh, you're just a big doughboy. He's you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a bad guy. Let me see your dental bills, Mr. Valentine.
The first occurred is for the infection. I got all puffed up and in pain. I couldn't sleep for 3 days, and
You're right.
that
I
had
know.
to get antibiotics, painkillers, so I could finally sleep. and go back to work.
Which tooth was it? The tooth that's missing?
Yeah.
That one? You need an implant there?
I still need to get my implant.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Where did you pick Mr. Holloway up?
Commerce Casino.
Who else was with him?
2 other gentlemen, like young, like 2 20-year-olds or something like that.
Maybe that's what you were fighting with your fiancé about.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patrick Wallentine says fellow partygoer Ed Tomaselli punched him in the mouth. Ed says Patrick was too friendly with his date.
What do you do for a living?
I do a lot of things, but right now,
What you just said, what's your favorite thing?
my favorite?
Yeah. You know, you do a lot of things, though. Tell me what your favorite,
My
what
favorite
your fave is.
is to sing and host people, kind of like parties.
This is so painful.
That's my favorite thing. But right now, I do have a painting business and a construction business that I work for. So but I can do anything.
Can't put in an implant.
I can.
See what I mean? Mr. Tomaselli.
Yes, Your Honor.
Harmless. You misjudged his intent. Put your hand down.
I'm sorry.
He's a lover, not a fighter. Do you know what I mean? He didn't want to hurt you. And you overreacted because you were angry. And you have to pay for that. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Ed didn't tell the truth. I did not touch him.
It was a tombstone, flying ruckus, left.
I fell back, and that's all, and I walked out.
Went down like everybody.
Maybe he's been choked a couple times, can't really remember it quite straight.
When they step up to the plate, like Hank Aaron, they just knock him out of the park.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soyak versus Holloway. Step forward, please.
Limousine driver James Soyak is suing former client, business owner Tim Holloway, for an unpaid hotel bill. James says Tim is a scammer.
Mr. Holloway, how old are you, sir?
33.
And what kind of work do you do, sir?
I have a maintenance company.
How long have you had it?
My dad had it since '59. I took it over about 3 years ago.
He's no longer involved in the business.
Sometimes, yeah.
So he still goes into the office?
Correct.
On a daily basis?
2 or 3 times a week.
Are you making this up as we're going along, sir?
No.
Are you trying to give me accurate answers? Because you never can tell why I'm asking you these questions.
Correct.
Now, do you live alone or do you live with someone else?
I live with my fiance.
Did you move into her place or did you move in someplace together?
Together.
When?
2 years ago.
What's the address?
North Wilson.
How large an apartment is it?
It's a condo. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Are you renting or did you buy it?
We're renting that.
Are you both on the lease?
Yes.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, Mr. Soyak, you drive a limousine.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that you drove Mr. Holloway in your limousine to a casino, hotel.
Yes.
And he told you that he'd forgotten his wallet and he needed a hotel room. So you agreed to put the hotel room on your credit card.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true.
He used the room and then stiffed you for the reimbursement.
I rented 2 rooms for him, $99 each.
In addition, he didn't have his wallet, so he said he needed some money. You gave him cash. He gave you a check
Yes, ma'am.
for $300. The check bounced.
Yes.
That's
So-
not true.
What's not true, sir?
The room. Now the check.
Let's talk about the check.
Okay.
Let me hear.
I gave him a check. Me and my fiance was having problems at the house. I couldn't get to what I need to get to the bank. I owe him for the $300, but the hotel room, it never happened.
Now, okay. Now, Mr. Holloway, your last paragraph of your answer, which you swore to, sir, says, I did give him a check for $300, which was returned. I explained that I had just moved and was having problems with my bank account.
I did just move.
No, just a second. I explained that I had just moved.
Same thing I just said.
No,
I was having
that's
problems
not. Mr. Holloway, let me understand something, sir. No more than 5 minutes ago, I said to you, where do you live? You gave me the address. Who do you live with? I live with my fiance. How long have you lived there in the condo? 2 years. Did you sign a lease? Yes.
That's what I said. But I just moved. If we was having problems, evidently I had to leave because we was having problems. So I did leave. Now when we reconciled, that's one thing. But I did leave. So what I told you is the truth.
Can I see the bills for the 2 rooms, please? Mr. Soyak, how long have you been driving a limousine?
10 years.
Okay. You ever had this kind of trouble?
Never.
Mr. Soyak, let me explain something to you. Don't be an idiot. You don't take out your credit card, allow somebody to put money on your credit card. You don't take checks from people you don't know.
You're absolutely right.
Good.
It'll never
Can I have
happen
it,
again.
please? The rooms you rented for $99, but he certainly did a lot more damage than the $99.
He drank everything in the bar. Plus movies, plus phone calls.
I never went in the room.
Okay. You owe him a whole bunch of money, sir. You owe him for these 2 hotel rooms. Who else was with you? Who else was with him, Mr. Soyak?
He found a couple of young gentlemen. They were walking the street while we were in Old Town Pasadena, and he claimed he's a music producer. And I don't know how he knew these guys can sing, but he made friends with them and invited them later to be picked up in the car, and we drove them also to the Commerce Casino. He didn't want the other two men to sleep in the same room as him, so he wanted me to get a separate room for them.
That's a lie. That never happened.
It's not a lie because I have my witnesses
Mr. Holloway,
here.
Mr. Holloway.
I have my witnesses here. My other driver that picked him up Sunday.
So you dropped him off and somebody else picked him up?
Yes.
Who picked him up?
Richard. He's my co-driver.
Step up, sir. Your last name?
Thompson.
Where did you pick Mr. Holloway up?
Commerce Casino.
Who else was with him?
2 other gentlemen, like young, like 2 20-year-olds or something like that.
Maybe that's what you were fighting with your fiancé about. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,113. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
That's parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
All right, let's see if we can untangle this very sad mess. Ms. Schatz, this is your mom.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, in 1999, your mom bought a car.
Yes.
The car was for you.
Yes.
And you had an agreement.
Yes.
And the agreement was that you were going to pay off the car, and you would pay it off by the time you graduated from college.
I would pay her off when I graduated from college and got a full-time job.
Anyway, your mother took the car back before you graduated, and you say she had no reason to take the car back. Are you telling me that you didn't pay her any money?
I did. I paid her $3,600 up front.
Okay. Is that correct?
That's
that she
correct.
gave you $3,600 as a down payment?
At the time of the purchase of the car.
And how old were you then?
I was 18.
And your agreement was that you would pay her back the rest at the time you graduated?
Yes.
Okay, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you haven't graduated yet. You're graduating in June.
I graduate in March 25th.
So between 1999 and now, you have not paid her any additional money?
There was a time when she owed me about $200 for some things that I had purchased for her, and we agreed that we would take that $200 off of the amount of the loan.
Okay.
So
let's say that's $3,800.
Yes.
And how much was the entire car?
The car was for $12,800.
Okay. Why did you take the car back?
I took the car back after I received a letter from her stating that she did not plan on paying for the car.
Let me see the letter.
What?
Just a minute. Well, first of all, this letter says, in response, Annette. That's your mother?
Yes.
I assume you don't have a good relationship with her?
Not at all.
And haven't for a long time?
Since I moved out in January of 2002.
What happened in January of 2002?
I was living at home and going to school, and we got
So up until then, you had a good relationship?
Fairly good. Yes.
Good. What happened in January?
We got an argument, and I was asked to move out because we weren't getting along, because neither of us were happy with the situation.
Okay.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
I don't really consider that an argument. What happened, Your Honor, is I basically went grocery shopping and I apparently didn't buy the cereal that Laura wanted. And she got upset, and my comment to her was, this is crazy, being upset over something like this, and if you're going to stay here and live here, you need to go to counseling. And her answer goes, well, then I won't be here. I'll move out.
Well, there must have been something else going on.
Yes.
What else was going on?
There was a lot of physical and mental abuse that I had been enduring since as far back as I can remember, and it had nothing to do with the cereal at all.
All right, I'm sure it had nothing to do with the cereal. That doesn't make sense. That may have been the catalyst.
Yeah. Right.
But it had nothing to do with cereal. But this letter says that this is in response to a letter I received from you dated January 15th. So I'd like to see that letter dated January 15th. Okay. So your mother writes you a letter, January of 2003, and she says, you know, sorry that you're not talking to me, it's painful. And she says to you, as of April, which I assume is after graduation,
yes,
I will no longer pay the car insurance and the $3,000 you owe me for the car. Okay? And you write her back, and you say that the money you have been receiving monthly on my behalf in the form of child support above the amount that was mandated by the divorce court shall cancel out your loan in the amount of $3,000. So you want to explain that to me?
Since my mom and I made the agreement about the car, I found out that she is still receiving child support from my dad in the amount of $264 a month.
Right.
That was supposed to end, according to the divorce agreements, when I turned 18, and it never has.
Right.
So I felt that from the time that I moved out of her house in January of 2002, she continued to receive that money, and I felt that that money should go towards the loan.
Has nothing to do with you. That's between your mother and your father.
I felt that that money should go towards supporting me.
That has nothing to do with you. That has to do with your mother and your father. If their judgment of divorce provides that support shall terminate on your reaching 18, and if money is still either deducted from his check or he continues to pay her, that's between the two of them. You can't decide that you want that money to be allocated to your car. So this is what happened, Mr. Schatz. What happened is you created an anticipatory breach. You said, I anticipate the fact that she's going to breach our agreement, right? Based upon these letters.
Right. Well, I also...
So that I am taking your name off the title to the car, and I'm taking back the car, rather than responding to this and saying, no, 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 you owe me $3,000, and you have to pay it. The money that was paid by your father was an agreement that we had. He paid $264 a month for your support. Is that what your father paid all along?
All along.
Well, that's not a lot of money. That doesn't
it is
support...
to a student.
No, no, no. That doesn't support a child.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you think it might be worthwhile for you to attend a couple of counseling sessions with your mother?
Yes.
I think so, too. You prepared to do that?
I've begged her to go to counseling with me.
And later today...
Did you ask her to bail you out?
Yes.
Did she have the money at that time in May?
No.
Did she tell you how she was going to get the money?
No.
Did you ask her?
No.
Did it make any difference to you?
No.
You just wanted out.
I just wanted out.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Laura Schatz says her mother, Annette Schatz, illegally repossessed her car. Annette says Laura wasn't making payments.
In any event, you had no right to take back the car when you did.
Right.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, after receiving that letter, I did send Laura back another letter dated the 29th of January, saying, please reconsider your position.
Let me see.
These are expenses. And I felt like I gave her another opportunity to talk with me and communicate with me.
Are you working?
Yes, I work part-time as an x-ray tech, and I also go to school full-time, 5 days a week.
Okay. Where is the car now?
A friend's house.
When did you take it back?
I took it on February 12th.
Okay.
About 9 o'clock at night.
Okay. You have to return it to your daughter.
Okay.
And I'm telling you now, so this is going to be very, very easy. What you have to do is when you graduate, you have to pay your mother $3,000.
Okay.
Then the car will be yours, as per your agreement. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. I have now advised you. I've given you what courts usually don't do, but it's an advisory opinion. I'm advising you that you cannot take your father's child support that you felt was overpaid and apply it towards this car debt. And you cannot anticipate that your daughter is not going to do what she agreed to do when she was over the age of 18, which was to pay you upon her graduation. And she has not graduated yet. So the car has to be returned to her. And you have to pay your mother in March what you agreed to pay her, which is, according to her letters, $3,000. Do you understand? Okay. Now we've gotten to the easy part. Something else happened. Now, I don't know whether the something else that happened was that you now have a relationship with your dad. Is the
We are
relationship...
rebuilding a relationship.
Okay. I assume from reading your mom's answer to this that that is what happened, that this is something that's relatively new, the relationship you have with your father.
Yes.
Fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Was he out of your life most of your growing up?
We had visitation with him after the divorce. So he lived with us until I was 12, and then after the divorce, we saw him according to the visitation. And then our relationship started to fall apart when I got a car and started doing my own things, and I didn't get to see him on those days.
So now it's back?
Yes.
Okay. You think it might be worthwhile for you to attend a couple of counseling sessions with your mother?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. You prepared to do that?
I've begged her to go to counseling with me.
With you. But you both have to keep an open mind because you're two adult women now. It would be a very bad thing for you long term to have an alienated relationship with your mother. You know, when you're 22, that's one thing. When you're 28, 29, 30, 35, get married, you have children, I assume that that's something that you look forward to in your future. They should know that they have grandmother. And so without putting any blame, to go just with an open mind and saying, look, we may have to have a new kind of relationship, different from parent and child, because we're both adults now and things have been difficult. If the clerk can put together a list of names, you prepared to do that? Or do you have somebody that you've been seeing that you think might be beneficial?
I have a counselor that I've been seeing.
How long have you been seeing this counselor?
Since October.
You prepared to go to your daughter's counselor?
Sure, not a problem.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Give it a shot. You get your car back within 5 days.
Thank you.
Okay? Good. Thank you.
I was excused. You may step out.
I just wanted what was fair, and I just wanted this issue to be taken care of so we can move on.
I love Laura very much and care about her.
I just hope that we can continue to work this out.
I'm glad it's over and we can get this resolved.
It's not over yet.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCarrick versus Mitchell. Step forward, please.
27-year-old bartender Michelle McCarrick is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old construction worker Charles Mitchell, for bailing him out of jail when he was arrested for holding a pound of marijuana.
Mr. Mitchell, what were you in jail for when your former girlfriend bailed you out?
A drug charge.
When had you been arrested?
It was May of last year.
No.
Drug sale, possession?
Drug possession.
What kind of drugs?
Weed. Marijuana.
How much?
About a pound.
Is this your first drug arrest?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your bail?
$25,000.
And at the time, Miss McCarrick was your girlfriend, is that right?
Yes.
It's your claim, Miss McCarrick, that you bailed out the defendant. He promised to pay you back. He even signed a note that he would pay you back, and he hasn't paid you back.
But she forced me to sign that note.
I didn't ask you anything yet.
Why?
Right? I'm looking at her.
All right.
Has this drug case been resolved yet?
Yes, ma'am.
No, it has not.
Okay, so we're not going to ask any questions about the drug case. Did he call you from jail?
He did.
And what did he say about his bail?
He asked me if I could come and bond him out because he wanted to get a job and get a lawyer. So this had went on for like a month and a half. Finally, I decided that I would, I had an African gray parrot and I had somebody who was interested in buying it. So with him promising that he would pay me back, because really she didn't want to buy it, she was going to, just pretty much give me the money, she would hold on to the bird and I would pay her back. So she gave me $1,500 because I had already talked to a bondsman. He told me that if I came up with, at least $1,500, that he would get him out because the entire bond was, 10% of it would be $2,500. So if I came up with 15 and paid the rest, then he would go and get him. So I gave her the bird and she gave me the money and I went down and I got him. And pretty much a week later, he was supposed to work with his cousin who owned, he lays concrete. And he was going to get paid $15 an hour, and, it was...
Okay, he hasn't paid you back.
Pretty much.
Let me see the note that he signed, please.
Okay.
But she forced me to sign that note.
Can I get...
Your Honor.
Please. Mr. Mitchell, I guarantee you I'm going to let you get to your defense, sir. Now, I have a note that you signed on 7/5/2002 indicating you promised to pay her back on or before August 30th, and you agree that you signed it, but you say you were forced to sign it.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you some questions. So I want you to answer my questions as I ask them. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
You were arrested in May of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
You were bailed out on what day?
June 29th.
I have the bond receipt
That's
right
okay.
here.
I'm not speaking to you.
Okay, sorry.
And it is your position that you never asked her to bail you out.
I asked her to bail me out. I didn't agree on owing her any money.
Just a second. Oh, so you did ask her to bail you out?
Well, she bailed me. I mean,
No. You didn't say that, sir. You said in your answer it was her idea. So you did ask her to bail you out?
I mean, she wouldn't do.
Just answer my question. Did you ask her to bail you out?
Yes.
And did you start asking her to bail you out in May of 2002?
Yes.
And what did she say?
She said she would bond me out.
Did she have the money at that time in May?
No.
Did she tell you how she was going to get the money?
No.
Did you ask her?
Nope.
Did it make any difference to you?
Nope.
You just wanted out.
I just wanted out.
And when you just want out, you're prepared to say and do just about anything. Is that right?
Because we never had any
Anything.
agreement
Right.
on
Now-
me owing her anything.
Now.
She didn't.
Shh,
What
I'm
she
not-
did.
Am I speaking?
Okay.
Only what I ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're out of jail. And she says to you, I want my money back, and if I don't get it back, I'm going to go in and remove my bond. You say, she threatened you to
Yes.
remove the bond unless you agree to sign the note and pay her back. Is that right?
After I had stopped messing with her.
After
You
you
know
had
what I'm
stopped
saying?
messing with her.
Mhm.
Okay. After you had stopped messing with her, she said, shh. She said, unless you sign this note agreeing to pay me back, I am going to withdraw my bond, so you're going to go back to jail.
Exactly.
So you signed the note.
She was threatening me.
No. What you don't understand, Mr. Mitchell, is you consider that a threat.
It is a threat.
No, sir.
If I don't owe her nothing, I don't owe her nothing.
No, sir. What she's saying to you is,
She's just feeling like.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to tell you this. When you appear before a judge on your drug charge, and if you keep yammering like you're doing to me, you're going to find yourself behind bars. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judges don't tolerate that. When judges ask a question, you give them an answer. I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
She has a right to withdraw her bond. That's her right. If she doesn't like where you're living, if she doesn't like the people you're hanging around with, she has a right to go in and say, I'm withdrawing my bond because I'm not sure that he's going to appear or not. And I don't want to be stuck losing this money. So therefore, you, unless you can find somebody else to come up with the money, are going to go back to jail. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You made a choice. Your choice was not to go back to jail to await your trial. Your choice was to sign the note.
True.
So it's not as if she's saying either you sign the note or I'm going to take your left leg. That's a threat. You sign the note, I'm going to take the first 3 fingers on your left hand.
But can I say
That's a threat. Now I'm going to let you say something.
It's a threat the way she came at me about signing the note, though.
How did she come at you?
She was delirious. Just, you know what I'm saying? You're going to pay me my money back, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, you know what I'm saying? Just going all off. You know what I mean?
No, that's not correct.
Just a minute.
You did.
Mr. Mitchell, don't speak to her. So she was intimidating you.
Pretty much. But that's all she knew she had over my head was the bond.
Right.
Exactly. So she was being delirious, coming, you know what I'm saying, to my crib, boom, boom, boom. You're going to sign this, and
I don't understand
You know what I'm saying?
What is delirious?
What is delirious?
What is delirious? She's going off, you know what I'm saying, just going wild. Just, you know what I'm saying? Calling, you know
Delirious.
what I mean?
Delirious.
Delirious. But you know what I'm saying, though. You understand what I'm saying?
Mr.
All right.
Mitchell, Mr. Mitchell, I want you to tell you something.
You understand what I'm
sir.
saying?
I want to tell you something, sir. I am delirious.
Are you?
You're making me delirious.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pay the money. You got to pay the money. Shh. I didn't ask you for anything.
Okay, sorry.
And you're not losing. So why don't you be quiet?
Okay.
You had a choice. Your choice was to sign the note, which means you owed her the money, or go back to jail. You chose to owe her the money, rather than go back to jail. Those were your choices.
Versus done. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Don't aggravate me. I have a bad throat today. Mr. Barnello.
Yes.
It's your claim that the defendant kicked your truck in a parking lot of a bar. He was a little drunk. Mr. Dunn says that he was, in fact, drunk, right?
Yes.
And he may have hit you, but he didn't kick your car. So let me hear it from the top. Date, time, place.
September 20th at 1 a.m. Myself and my friends were leaving the club. Jerry started elbowing one of my friends as we were leaving, and they had exchanged words. It escalated to the parking lot where they exchanged more words, and the police department broke it up.
So the police were there?
The police were there in the parking lot, yes.
Had you known him before?
No, I've never met him or seen him before.
Go ahead.
And we were leaving. I was leaving in my truck by myself. My friends were walking along my truck. They were pretty angry at the time.
What do you mean they were walking along your truck?
They wouldn't get in my vehicle because they were pretty fumed because they had gotten to words with Jerry in the parking lot.
And they're walking alongside of your truck?
One of my friends was walking along the side of my truck.
Go ahead.
And I actually was parked two cars away from Jerry's vehicle and his friend, Chris, which was also the one that kicked my truck in. And we were pulling away, and I was trying to get my friend in the vehicle, and he was pretty heated. He was going to walk home, and I had the windows down. I heard them exchanging words out of their vehicle to my friend that was walking. And Jerry proceeded to get out of his truck with his friend Chris, and I got out of my vehicle to get my friend to get leave, get in my truck, let's leave, We've already been warned once by the police. My friend wouldn't get in my vehicle with me, so I got back in my truck. As soon as I got back in my truck, Chris and Jerry Dunn ran up to my truck and started kicking my truck in as I was sitting in the driver's seat staring at him.
Where did he kick your truck?
He kicked my truck in the door and the extended cab of the truck. I have pictures.
Can I see the pictures, please? All right, Sheriff. Let's hear from you.
Well, we got to the nightclub approximately 10 o'clock that evening.
So you've been drinking for 3 hours?
Approximately, yes. We were leaving the nightclub, me and a friend of mine and our two girlfriends, and another friend of ours that was walking with us to our cars had a confrontation, I guess, with one of his friends. It wasn't me, okay? And after they had had words, the cops had basically came over and said, you guys stop it or whatever, because it was just words. No one had physically done anything yet. At that time, we get in our cars. I get in the back seat. We're leaving the club. We're still in the parking lot. We haven't left yet. And as we're pulling out of the parking lot, this gentleman basically cuts us off in his truck. He's leaving the parking lot and pulls right in front of our car, saying stuff to us outside of his window, still sitting inside of his truck.
He is?
Yes. His friends, like he said, were all outside. There was a bunch, the whole club was leaving at this time. So there was tons of people in the parking lot. And I guess it was, I don't know how many of his friends, 4 or 5 guys or so, were outside the truck. At that time, the driver of the vehicle that I was in steps out of the vehicle and approaches his truck. As they are saying words to each other, I get out of the truck myself, and I'm coming around the truck, and there's tons of people at that time around both of our cars. And everyone's yelling, screaming, saying stuff to each other. At that point, everyone starts fighting. I don't know if it was him or one of his friends that I had actually gotten a physical confrontation with, but we ended up getting arrested that night. Me and the driver of the vehicle that I was in.
What were you arrested for?
Well, initially, we were being arrested, and the cop says he's pressing charges on you guys for, hitting him or whatever, hitting his friend, and...
You can't press charges for hitting his friend.
No, that's not correct.
So anyways, this is what the cop says to me.
What were you arrested for, sir?
Well, right here, he tells me it was drunk in public.
What happened with that case?
I went to jail that night, and they gave me this piece of paper, and it was basically a failure to appear for another traffic stop that I had had. They never actually arrested me for drunk in public either, or vandalizing his car or anything.
They gave you a desk appearance ticket. You were supposed to appear there on the 13th of November. What happened?
I went and appeared, and all I had to do was pay for a traffic violation that I had.
You have a police report.
I do not have a police report because I did not press charges for vandalism. And for one reason only, that of the night they both agreed in front of the officers to pay me for the damages to my vehicle. And they offered me $1,000 cash if I was to come to their house that night. And the officers said there will be no money exchanged in our presence, that this matter will have to be taken somewhere else. And so I asked the officer for any type of information of showing of the incident, and he said he could not give me anything because I didn't press charges. And the reason why I didn't press charges is because they agreed to pay me when they were in the back of the car.
Who's they?
Jerry and Chris.
Did Chris pay you?
Chris has paid me his half of the...
When did Chris pay you?
I believe about 3 weeks ago.
How much did he pay you?
He paid me $2,300.
You the girlfriend? Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's Katie.
Katie what?
Katie Rainier.
You were there that night?
Yes, I was.
Were you drunk or sober?
I was sober.
I just want you to think about the moment. This is your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the back of a police car. Do you remember that?
Yes.
How many people were in the back of the police car?
2. Him and
Who?
Chris.
Who?
Jerry and Chris.
Anybody else taken into custody that night?
No.
Now, during the time that they were in the back of the police car, Katie, did you see the plaintiff?
Yes.
Did you see the plaintiff talking to a police officer?
Yes.
Did there come a time when the police officer let your boyfriend and Chris out of the back of the car?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So they took him away?
Yes.
Did they take you away that evening, sir?
Yes.
Where did they take you?
To Sacramento County Jail.
What about Chris?
Him too, yes.
Is it your testimony that after you had a conversation with the officer let him out of the car?
No, he didn't let him out of the car.
Oh. Well, that's what I thought.
The door was open.
Yeah.
And I was standing right by the door talking to them, and they were begging me the whole time, don't press charges, don't press charges.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, why do you think that Chris only paid half?
I have no idea.
Is it possible that it's because what he's telling me is accurate, that the two of you agreed to pay for the damage to his truck?
No.
I think so.
And later today...
Can I see a withdrawal from your bank for $240?
I don't have that. I got it from the ATM.
Well, if you got it from the ATM, you would have a record of that, sir.
Well, they give you the option of whether you
it?
can have it printed out or not printed out. And
Mr. Doherty, are you trying to dance around me, sir?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ryan Barnello says during an argument in a nightclub parking lot, his fellow clubgoer Jerry Dunn damaged his truck. Jerry denies ever touching the vehicle.
Why don't you have a seat? Where is your friend Chris?
He is at home, actually. He's back home.
As far as you know, Chris paid him $2,300?
Yes.
Why?
Because he kicked his vehicle and I didn't.
How much was the damage to the vehicle?
The estimate, I've had 2. One for $4,286 and one for $4,412.
Well, why do you think that Chris only paid half?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
No.
Is it possible that it's because, sir, what he's telling me is accurate, that the two of you agreed to pay for the damage to his truck?
No.
No?
No.
I think so. And I think that if I were to call Chris, that's exactly what he would tell me, that he agreed to pay for half the damage and you were going to pay for half the damage to the truck. That's what I think. And since I'm the one who's in charge of thinking here, I'm entering a judgment in the amount of $2,200. That's all. Goodbye.
Lawyers are excused. You may step out.
The judgment was correct. You know, he did kick my truck in, and he's paying for it.
Next time I won't beat anybody up outside of a nightclub.
He never touched me that night, so I don't know what he's talking about.
I guess when you finish something instead of start it, you're the one who actually gets in trouble for it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Doherty versus Balin. Step forward, please.
Student Sean Doherty is suing his ex-girlfriend, accounting assistant Melissa Balin, for unpaid rent and for the value of a TV and VCR. Melissa is countersuing for harassment.
Mr. Doherty, according to your complaint, you and the defendant dated briefly. You claim a loan to her, and also you say that you loaned her your mother's broken television and VCR. You want both back.
I had no idea that the TV or the VCR was broken.
When you gave it to her.
Mm-hmm.
When did you begin to date her, and when did you stop dating her?
Started dating probably about July, and Ended it in probably about September.
When was the first loan?
I believe it was electric bill. She paid that back. There was other loans
how
that she
much?
paid back.
So she would loan her money and she would give you the money back.
Yeah.
So what kind of loan are we talking about, sir?
The last loan was for her rent.
Her rent. How much?
$240.
When did you make that loan?
I believe it was September 9th.
Tell me the circumstances around that, sir.
She needed the money to pay for her rent.
I assume so. Did she call you? Were you together when she asked you for the money? Tell me about that.
We were together. I was over her apartment when she asked for the money.
What did she say to you? What did you say to her?
She asked me if she could borrow the money, and I said yes. And so I went down to the ATM and took out the money and handed it to her, and she handed it to her landlord.
In cash?
Yes, in cash.
And what about the television and the VCR?
My mother's TV was a 13-inch color TV, and she wanted it for her daughter so she could watch movies. And I said, well, I'll see if she'll lend it to you.
Why would she lend it to her?
Until she got another TV.
Where was it in your mother's house?
The VCR belonged to me. The television belonged to my mother.
Where had it been in your mother's house?
Her spare bedroom.
So nobody was using it?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Did your mother know the defendant?
Yes.
Did your mother know the defendant's daughter?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Miss Palin, let's first talk about the television and the VCR. Tell me about your version of the television and the VCR.
I was going to purchase a television, a small television and a VCR for my daughter's bedroom. He says, well, I have a VCR that I'm not using. He says, and his mother had just moved here. He says, she has an extra TV. She doesn't want to let me talk to her. And he called me that night and he said, don't go out and buy one. We've got one you can have.
That sounds more right to me than the story you just told me. Do you understand, Mr. Doherty?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds more close to common sense and the truth that my mom's got an extra
She
one.
didn't
She's
have
not,
the money.
Shh. My mom's got an extra one she's not using. I got a VCR that I'm not using. You can have them for your daughter. That sounds right to me. So let's forget about this television VCR because that's a lot of baloney. Let's get to the money. $240 for rent.
No. I did borrow money from him.
He says you borrowed money and you paid it back over the course of the brief time that you were together.
Right.
He said this money in September you didn't pay him back.
I didn't borrow that dollar amount from him.
How much did you borrow from
I
him
borrowed
for rent?
$50 from him.
For what?
I used it for groceries. I was short. I
We're
paid.
talking about rent. He's already said that you borrowed certain money from him that you paid back, smaller amounts, but that on September 9th you needed money for your rent.
I paid my rent. I was short on money. I didn't have any money for groceries that week, and I did ask him if I could borrow $50 so I could purchase groceries because I had just paid my rent.
Okay. And this was on the 9th of September? Yeah. You sure about the date?
I don't know exactly what day it was, but it sounds close.
Can I see a withdrawal from your bank for $240?
I don't have that. I got it from the ATM.
Well, if you got it from the ATM, you would have a record of that, sir.
I didn't ask for a record for it.
Why not?
Because I was in a hurry to, get back to her place.
No. You get that, sir, when you get a bank statement.
Well, they give you the option of whether you can have it printed out or not printed out. And
Mr. Doherty, are you trying to dance around me, sir?
No.
You get that in your bank statement at the end of the month that says that you withdrew $240 on the 9th of September. It lists every date that there was activity on your account, and it would show September 9th, $240, not the receipt that you got from the ATM. Where is that, sir?
I didn't bring that with me.
Is there any reason why you knew you were coming to court today?
I couldn't find the record for it.
Then you have no case, sir. Do you understand? When you come to court, you're supposed to bring proof. You're supposed to bring evidence. If part of that evidence is a withdrawal from the ATM, you get your bank record. And if you don't have it, you pick up the phone, call the bank, and you say, I misplaced my September statement. Could you send me another?
Well, I have emails that she stated that she was going to pay me back on September 20th.
Fine.
And she
How
said
much
that
did she say she was going to pay you back?
She didn't.
She says she borrowed $50 from you, and she said she paid it back, not $240. And there was a very easy way of proving that, sir, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have a counterclaim for harassment. You want to tell me about that?
I broke up with Sean just because we weren't really going in the same direction as far as a relationship goes. I realized that his feelings were a lot deeper, and I pretty much just wanted a friendship. After I broke up with him, he would call me during the day, send me emails at work, call me at 11:30 at night, asking me, was I just a summer fling? What am I supposed to tell my daughter? At one point, he called me at about 11:30 at night, and I told him, this is ridiculous. It has to stop. Please just leave me alone. At that point, I stopped answering the phone when he called. I have a caller ID box. I stopped answering the call. He started leaving messages on my voicemail stating the first time he said I owed him $150, call me, let's discuss it. Then he called me and said I owed him, I believe it was $280. The next time it was $320. The amounts were never the same. While we were together, his mother was going through an issue with a boyfriend where her boyfriend had said he had given her money. And when she called there, he said, I know you didn't give me any money. I just wanted to get you to call me. Finally, he came over to my house. He was knocking on my door. I went and opened the door. He wasn't there. I walked away. Another knock on the door. This time I opened the screen door and he was standing at the bottom of my steps with his back up against the house. And I hurried up to try and shut the door, and he tried to stick his hand in the door. He's like, I want to talk to you. I had to call my neighbor to come across the street. My witness is here today. She's the one I called to come over. I was terrified. I didn't know what he was going to do. That night I called my friend who works for the sheriff's department. I said, look, I know that he got hurt. I just want him to leave me alone. He needs to just move on.
All right, has he left you alone the last month?
He showed up at a bar that he knows I go to every Friday night. He showed up there this past week, Friday night, and just sat there, made things very uncomfortable for me. I was employed there on Friday nights up until about 4 weeks ago.
Other than that, has he been back to your house?
Not since I called the sheriff on him.
Have the phone calls stopped?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
You finished?
The reason for the phone calls is I was trying to get my stuff back, other than the TV and the VCR. I had clothes there. I had other personal belongings there.
Did you get your stuff back?
The reason that I had to go over her house is because she said that she was going to drop it off, and she never did.
Did you get your stuff?
Yes, I finally got it back.
And you're not going to bother her anymore, are you, Mr. Doherty?
No.
It's over.
Yeah.
Right?
I wasn't, I just went to the bar because I wanted to go.
Okay, but you're not going to bother her anymore.
No.
It's over. Right?
I hope so. I just want him to leave me alone.
It's a little bit more melodramatic.
Okay. Listen, at most, Mr. Doherty, it cost you $240, and at best, you learned the lesson, and that is when you come to court, you got to bring evidence. You can't just, say, I lent her $240, I lent her $320, I lent her $150. Yeah, especially when you have the evidence. It's available to you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. That's it.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. Hobart, the defendant is your brother.
Yes.
It's your claim that for a period of 2 or 3 weeks you were incarcerated.
Yes.
And during that time, your brother stole certain property from your house and sold it.
Yes, that's kind of about right.
And you were, in fact, living with him at the time you went to jail.
He was living with me.
How long had he been living with you?
As long as I've been about 5 years.
So he moved into your apartment?
No, it's a house. We own the house.
What do you mean, we own the house?
Well, I own the house, and he's my brother. He stays there with me.
What did you go to jail for?
I missed a payment on my child support.
Mr. Hobart, because I don't want anybody to think that we live in a really terrible, terrible country. Nobody goes to jail for missing one child support payment.
Okay.
You and I both know that.
Well, maybe it was more than one, but it's taken care of, though, now, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of work do you do, Mr. Hobart?
Well, I work at an auto parts store, and I sell auto parts.
Is your brother employed?
No, he gets a disability.
What kind of disability?
Legally blind.
I didn't ask you. Do you know what kind of disability?
For his eye and his leg, because one leg is bigger than the other one, and he's legally blind in his eyes.
Does he have any other problems?
Well, alcohol, and as far as any hardcore drugs, I don't know.
But he has an alcohol problem.
But there's a serious alcohol problem, though.
How many drinks did you have today, Mr. Hobart?
None.
How many last night?
About 4 or 5.
Did you use any substances to...
No, I don't use...
Shh. Let me finish my question. Did you use any substances today or yesterday to sort of relax you before your court appearance?
No.
Only alcohol?
Yes.
And how many hours ago did you have your last drink?
Probably about 9 o'clock last night.
Are you anxious to have one now?
Not really. I'm kind of more nervous talking to you than worrying about a drink.
That was cute.
I'm just being honest.
That was cute.
I'm being honest.
Not 100%, Mr. Hobart. There were reasons that I asked that kind of question.
I'm sorry.
Now, what makes you think your brother took your property while you were in jail?
First of all, this is my girlfriend. Her name is Natasha. And I had talked to her on the phone, and she let me know that she saw my van driving down the street. And so I told her, can she go to the house and check and see what's going on? And when she got there, she said that Tony had some people load my big screen TV on the back of a truck.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Could you step up, please?
That's not true.
Shh. What did you see and when? What was the date?
The day?
Do you know the date, Mr. Holbert?
February, about between the 20th and the 22nd, something like that.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw his van just rolling down 30th Street. And then I knew it wasn't him because he was incarcerated. So I went to his house to talk to Tony about it. And when I got there, it was like 2-3 people loading his big screen TV up on a truck. And when I asked them what was going on, the only response I got was it wasn't my business.
Wasn't your business?
Right.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Mr. Holbert, it's your claim that there was a burglary in the house.
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Tell me when the burglary took place, sir.
The night that she's speaking of, I went out and I come back and somebody had broken the house.
How did you know that?
Because the front screen was pulled open and the window was lit up.
How did you know that?
Because I looked at it when I came in the house. It's right there.
So you saw it?
Yes.
In the dark?
Yes.
Your eyes
the lights was on in the house.
Your eyes must be good enough to be able to see that.
The lights was on in the house and you could see the screen where the window was lit up.
Where had you been, Mr. Holbert?
I had been out with my friends for about a half an hour, riding around.
Just riding around?
Yes.
Hadn't been drinking or anything?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you make a stop or did you drink in the car?
No, we stopped at his house for a little while then when you dropped me off because he had to go to work in the morning.
Uh-huh. So you saw somebody had broken into the house. When you went inside, did you take an inventory?
I just looked around and seen my TV was gone and his big TV was
Anything
gone.
else missing?
I saw that a DVD player was missing.
His?
And a VCR was missing.
His?
Yes.
What did the police say when you called them?
I didn't call them because I was scared to call them because I had a warrant for my arrest.
For what?
For assault.
For assault?
Yeah.
Is there still an outstanding warrant for your arrest?
Nope, I got it taken care of already.
When did you have it taken care of?
About 4 or 5 months ago.
What happened?
It was
with
only,
that?
I had to sit out a fine, that's all, and I was scared to call because I didn't want to go to jail for a $350 fine.
When did you pay the fine?
I just went and set the days out when they finally caught us driving down the street, and they pulled us over and they ran everybody's name in, and I had a warrant, so I had to go
When
to
was
jail.
this?
Back about 3 months ago.
So you just went and did your time?
Mm-hmm, 4 days.
In jail?
Uh-huh.
It must have been hard. No, they don't have alcohol in jail, do they?
No.
Okay. You have any other witnesses you wish me to hear, sir?
Yes, I got the person that Tony sold the TV to.
Really?
Tony don't know.
What's the name of that person?
Michael Tatum. He's a friend of mine, and he knew something wasn't right when Tony was selling my TV, a big screen TV for like $350.
Man, what about my? I did not sell that
Mr.
TV.
Holbert, where is the witness?
Can he come out? He's back there.
Where'd you get him?
Sure thing.
No, I didn't sell.
Can I say something else, Your Honor?
Yeah, while he's getting him, you can.
Okay.
What about my
Well,
witness?
I got pictures of the TV. I got pictures of the van, and when I come home to find out, it's like a yard sale. All my belongings about the house. He's selling it. He's selling it. He's selling it.
You know you lying, man.
Mr. Holbert,
I can't even drive a.
I'm sorry.
I can't even drive an automobile. Period.
I want you to be quiet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The people that bought the van changed the
Just
title
mean
over
he sold
to
the
their
van
name.
too?
Yeah, my van had TV, DVD player in it.
Just a minute, he sold your van?
Yeah, he sold my van.
And later today,
What were you doing outside fooling around with peaches?
We were throwing peaches at each other for fun.
Give me strength.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Holbert says during a stay in jail, his brother Tony Holbert stole his belongings and sold them for liquor.
All right, would you step up here? You're Mr. Tatum, Michael Tatum?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up here, sir. Mr. Tatum, what do you know about a large screen television set that had belonged to the plaintiff?
Tony sold it to me.
No, I didn't
When?
either, man.
I don't want to hear you yet.
The middle or close to the end of February.
Tell me about how it came about that you bought this television.
I'm always in their neighborhood, and I seen Tony outside, and he asked me that I want to buy the TV because he needed to pay the bills. And I was like, how much you want to sell it for? At first, he wanted to sell it for a little bit more, but I talked him down.
To what?
$350.
Well, let me ask you this question. You knew the television didn't belong to Tony,
No, I knew that he stayed there, and it belonged to all of them, I guess. I don't know.
and that Tony was selling it.
To pay the bills.
Okay, and who'd you give the money to?
Tony.
You still have the television?
No, I sold it.
Why?
Because it's worth more than $350. I got way more than that for it.
How much did you get for it?
I got $700
That
for
ain't
it.
fair.
All right, just have a seat. All right, now I'm going to hear your witness.
He was with me when after the house got broken into. I went around looking to see if anybody seen anything, and I ran into him.
What's your name, sir? Be very...
Jesse Williams.
Mr. Williams, let's be very, very careful about what we testify to, sir, okay? Were you out with Mr. Hobart in the evening of either February 20th, 21st, or 22nd, driving around, drinking?
No.
And you were not there when he came home, allegedly, and found that his home had been broken into?
No.
Were you there when he made inventory of his house?
No.
So what do you know about this case?
When I seen him, he was upset. He told me that somebody had broken his house.
Where did you see him?
Well, he's walking around the neighborhood. We all live in the same area.
He was walking around, was he drunk?
Well, I mean...
What do you mean you mean? What, I don't know what that
he
means.
looks,
That's either yes or no.
He's Tony.
What does that mean?
I mean, he drinks all the time, you know what I'm saying?
Not all the time, I don't.
So I don't know if he's drunk or not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I seen him looking around the neighborhood, and he asked me if I seen anybody carrying a TV or microwaves and stuff. And I helped him walk around and look for it. But that was it.
Do you know what date it was?
It was around maybe the 23rd.
Really? So that would have been a couple of days after this alleged burglary.
Yeah, well, all I know is he was
That there was a burglary in his house. That's
Yes.
what he told you.
Yes.
And you have no idea when that was in
No.
relation to when he told you that his house was burglarized.
Correct.
Perfect. Let's have a seat.
Thank you.
What was the value of the property that was taken, sir?
Well, I got a blueprint out of the van, what the value it could have been or whatever. My van had Dayton's. Here's a picture of it. It had Dayton's on it, TV, DVD player in it. I know I'll never ever get the full value of what it was worth, but it was mine and it had no business being sold.
You're absolutely right.
And I went.
But I did not
tried to get
sell it, though.
Can I please talk? I tried to get a duplicate title before the people that bought the van changed the
Just mean
title
he
over to
sold
their
the van
name.
too?
Yeah, but they had already changed the title over to their
Just mean
name.
he sold your van?
Yeah, he sold my van.
Man, how can I sell your van? Where I'm gonna get the keys from?
Tony, when I was gone, my van was there, my keys was there, everything was there, man. And you know it, man.
Mr. Hobart, does he still live with you?
Yeah, he stays there, but I don't stay there no more.
I thought it was a house that you owned.
No, it is my house.
Yeah.
But this is my brother, though. No matter what, he's still my brother, and I love my brother.
Mr. Hobart, stop. This was your home. You say you own this home.
Yes,
is that
I do.
right? And you allowed your brother to stay with you.
Yes.
Now you come in and tell me that your brother, while you were incarcerated for a short period of time, went behind your back, sold your van, sold your television, sold your VCR,
Even the
sold your
refrigerator,
DVD.
I got it all. Okay.
I want you to listen to me
Okay,
carefully,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
Sold your DVD player. Is that right?
Yes.
By the way, did you report this to the police?
No, I didn't make no, because I don't want him to go to jail.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I didn't.
You said you didn't put him out of the house. He still stays there.
He stays there by himself, and I live with Natasha, because he don't have nowhere to go. And I can't just put him outside, even though I'm, you know, all my valuables is gone, but he's still my brother, though.
Where do you expect him to get this money from that you're suing him for?
Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it sounds to me like you forgave him. Because if
No,
he's
I
living in
never
your house,
forgave him.
if he's living in your house, and if you didn't throw him out and say, go find yourself a room someplace, and it sounds to me like you forgave him.
Okay, but at the same time, he said, you know, well, give me like 2 months or whatever, and I'll have my own place.
So?
And the 2 months then escalated on,
Well, why don't you put him out?
and I can't do that.
You can do that.
Yes.
You should do that. But this happened last February, right? And you haven't done that,
Nope.
right?
He did.
So what do you want from me? If you said to me, I put him out immediately, because how dare he go
He
behind
did
my
put
back
me out.
after I... He did?
Yes, he did.
So where are you living?
He put me out for 3 months, and then I finally, my mom had to talk to him, and then he finally let me stay there.
So he put you out for 3 months?
Yeah, 3 to 4 months.
Is that right?
After when I came home, I found out what happened. We got into an argument or whatever. He said he was leaving.
You put me out for 3 months, man. And then Mama finally told me to...
Just a second. Did your mother... Listen to me, Mr. Hobart. I want you to be honest
I recommended that he leave, but...
Shh. I want you to be honest, because you don't know what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So if you're going to try to think what I'm thinking, you're not going to be successful. Do you understand? You put him out for a period of time because of what happened. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then did your mother convince you to let him move back in?
Well, she was asking about it because he said he didn't have no place to stay.
Why
And
couldn't he
didn't
stay
want-
with your mother?
He didn't want her because they both are alcoholics, and when they get drunk, they ready to fight. I'm keeping it real. They fight. When they get drunk, they call me.
We don't fist fight. We don't physically
Man,
fight.
I got
We
witnesses
just
right
argue.
here to tell
We
y'all
just
argue all day, all night.
Yeah.
Mr. Hobart.
We don't physically fight. I'm not gonna sit on here and say I fight my mom. We argue. We don't hit each other. We
Just a minute.
argue.
How do
There's
you
a
know-
difference.
What's your first name?
Tony.
Shh. Quiet. Don't talk again. Mr. Hobart, I think you're entitled to your judgment because I absolutely believe that he stole your property. If you had told me that you let him stay in the house afterwards, I would say, listen, It's a family matter. You handled it family-wise. But you did put him out, which was the right thing to do. There has to be some consequence to what he did, even if it's just being uncomfortable for a couple of months. But I feel sorry for you because I have this sense that your mother prevailed upon you to take him back because she couldn't live with him because she's got her own troubles. Sounds to me like you might be the only normal one in the bunch. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which is a minimal amount, $2,400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Probably his girlfriend or somebody took it. I don't know. I know I did.
It just hurt me a lot that my brother would do me like that.
I still love my brother.
I still love my brother. That's my brother. He always gonna be my brother. That's my oldest brother. There we go.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hoffman versus Birchfield. Step forward, please.
Grad student David Hoffman is suing his neighbor, demolition man Vincent Birchfield, and his wife Tara. David says Vincent's 14-year-old twins, Vincent Jr. and James, dented his car during a peach fight.
All right, Mr. Hoffman, it is your claim that the defendant's sons were fooling around and having a peach fight, which is throwing peaches at each other. And one of the peaches hit your car, causing a dent. You want the defendants to pay for that. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You neighbors?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and how old are these two boys? How old are you?
14.
It was good. They said that both together. Why don't you have a seat? You'd sit down. Yeah, get them up. Where do you expect to sit on your lap? Get over here. Give me strength. Used to be worried. What did you want to be? An engineer, doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, right? Right. Now you know what you're asking? Whether you want to be 15. What were you doing outside fooling around with peaches?
We were throwing peaches at each other.
Why?
Because we went outside and started throwing peaches at each other in front of our house.
Why?
For fun.
And where did you get the peaches from?
Peach tree.
Where was the peach tree?
In front of the building next to us.
Who did the peach tree belong to?
The owner of the building in front of us.
So you stole peaches from somebody?
No, he said we can have peaches whenever we'd like them.
To eat?
To eat or
Or
throw.
to throw?
Yeah.
You think you're a wise guy? Let me tell you something. 25 years from now, where do you think you're going to be?
On a job.
Let's hope so. So let's not be a wise guy, okay? If somebody was nice enough to say to you, look, I have a peach tree, whenever you want a peach, go and take it, they meant for you to take it when you wanted something to eat, not for you to act like a moron and take them off the tree and throw them at each other. That be a fair statement, that that's what the person intended when they were being nice to you?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
Or certainly you won't be an English teacher in 25 years. Were you throwing peaches too?
Yes.
My brother didn't throw any.
I
was
never
the
threw
one
any
throwing
peaches.
at him.
Hmm?
I was the one throwing them at him.
And what was he doing? He was trying
Running.
to catch them?
No, he was running away from them.
Were they ripe peaches?
No.
So they were hard peaches.
Yes.
How many peaches did you throw at your brother?
I threw about 3.
And who else was throwing peaches?
My friend David and Mason.
And was it at your suggestion that you go out and take the peaches?
Yes.
All right, so that fair statement is, under the law, you are responsible for their actions since you clearly got permission to take the peaches and you gave someone else the permission to take the peaches and throw them. And you say that one of those peaches hit your car, causing a dent.
Yes,
Did you
Your Honor.
see it?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I saw it occur.
Which boy did you see throw a peach?
They're twins, and it was difficult to tell, but I know
They,
one of
they-
these two.
They look different to me.
Well, they were, as my pictures depict, I was looking out my front window. When I heard a noise hitting the roof in my backyard, a carport, made a loud noise, my dogs alerted. I then went to the front window upstairs immediately, and I saw the peach fight in progress on the four corners. I live on
Peach
a-
fight?
Peach fight. It was pretty intense. I mean, they were ducking behind cars. They were up in the neighbor's yard, up on his hill, behind his tree. I mean, it was crossfire going everywhere. So I saw peaches hit my car, and when I came downstairs, got dressed, came out to my gate, they were gone.
Oh, what is this picture of?
That's the dent from the peach.
You want to say something?
I'll wait my turn, ma'am.
You may not have one.
Well, I'd like to say a lot of things then. That's not what he showed us where the dent was. He showed us a different car and a dent in his door on his car.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to depict a few things. May I get up and talk?
Why don't you talk to your sons about how stupid they were?
Well, Your Honor.
Why don't, just a minute. Did you talk to your sons about how stupid they were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
But, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you another
Well,
question.
he's
When
leaving
I
a lot of
asked you
things
another
out.
question, you weren't there.
Well, Your Honor, I came home.
Just answer my question. You were there or you weren't there?
Yeah, I was there.
You're a liar.
No, I was there after the peach fight and I came home. Yeah, I was there and seen what happened.
Just a second.
I was there. My kids aren't stupid.
The peach don't fall far from the tree.
That's fine, Your Honor. Touche, you know, whatever you got to say, but if you don't want to
I'm
let me
going
talk...
to say it because if I say to you, sir, were you present when this happened? And
The
you say
incident,
yes, and you
yes.
weren't.
The whole incident, I have been present in some of the incidents, some of the things that happened, yes.
Get him
when
out
I
of here.
came home.
Get him out of here, please.
No problem.
Are you...
Maya versus Burt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Weaver, this case is a little complicated, so let me see if I can untangle it. You had a 1989 van that you decided to sell, and I assume you put a sign out in the van?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant, who you didn't know, saw the sign and decided to buy the van. He gave you a deposit. There is some discrepancy as to the amount of the deposit, but he gave you a deposit. He was supposed to come back and pay the rest.
Right.
According to you, he did not come back on the day he was supposed to come back, so the next day you sold the van to somebody else.
Yes.
When he did come back for the van, you told him, I'm sorry, you didn't come back when you were supposed to, so I sold it to somebody else. The defendant said, okay, give me my deposit back.
Right.
You said it was a non-refundable deposit. Then there were several things that happened. He says you told him you'd give him some money when you got a check, and he came back a couple of times to try to get the money. In any event, you claim that he had you falsely arrested for terrorizing him,
Yes.
and you want to be compensated for that false arrest.
Yes.
Mr. Burt is counterclaiming. He wants his deposit back, and he wants damage to his car because he said when he tried to pursue you for the return of his deposit, you did in fact threaten him, and you threw a brick at his car, damaging his car, and he's counterclaiming. So, Mr. Weaver, tell me when Mr. Burt approached you. He came to your house?
Yes.
What date?
It was July 17th when he came to my house. I heard a doorbell ring, went to the door. Excuse me.
I ask questions you had. July 17th is your answer.
Yes.
How much were you asking for the van?
I wanted $1,000 for it.
Did you write up an agreement with him?
Yes, we did.
Do you have a copy of the agreement?
No, I gave it to him because it was like a receipt.
Can I see the receipt, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I want the original receipt.
Well, ma'am, what happened to the original? My wife had washed my pants and it got destroyed, and I had to make a copy of it.
You say the price was $2,000, Mr. Burt.
Actually,
I want you to make very, very certain, Mr. Burt, that we understand each other absolutely 100% right. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
How much of a deposit did you give him?
I gave him a $1,200 deposit, ma'am.
Show me proof that you had $1,200 with you and where you got the money from.
Okay.
Because he says you gave him a $100 deposit. There's a big difference. He says you're selling the car for $1,000. You say $2,000. You say you gave him a $1,200 deposit. He says you gave him...
No, I asked him for a $100 deposit. He brought back $200.
Show me where you took $1,200 from, Mr. Burt.
Yeah, Anna, I'm a carpet cleaning business owner.
You're a what?
Carpet cleaning business owner. I own a carpet cleaning business called Priority One. What happened was, me and my wife went home. I got the $1,200.
From where?
From my house. What happened, I didn't have it in the bank because I had a discrepancy with bank, and I had to withdraw all my money out of the bank. And that basically came through a settlement that I had received.
Bert, you think that you can get me the Blue Book value of a 1989 Astro van with 200,000 miles?
Sure.
Good. Thank you. Now, sir, he gave you, according to you, $200. And he was supposed to come back when?
On July 27th. He never called, never showed up.
On the 27th?
On the 27th, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what happened on the 28th? Who'd you sell it to?
On the 28th, I waited all day for him to call, left a note on my door even, which he had stated to me after he came 2 weeks later, after the 28th, that he had saw the note and never called me anyway, because he said his wife was in a hospital. Sorry.
When did you sell the car, the 28th?
The night of the 28th. What I did
to
was...
whom?
His name was Guy.
And you have all of his information, is
Yes,
that right?
I have the canceled check and the
And what's
receipt.
the canceled check? You see, you can step up. Bert isn't here. Step up.
I'm sorry. This is the receipt we wrote up the day of 28th.
Good.
That's
Step
canceled
back.
check. Thank you.
All right, so this is my question. So 2 weeks later, Mr. Burt comes back and says, where's my car? And you said, I don't have the car. and he wants his deposit back.
Right.
Clearly, based upon the evidence that you've just given me, sir, you sold the car for more money to this other person
Yes.
than you did to
The reason
Mr.
why-
than you did to Mr. Burt. So, you were not out any money. Why didn't you give him back his $200?
Because when he had first come to my house, I said I needed the money for my mortgage because I was out of work because of my knee, and I needed the money by the 27th. I said it was a non-refundable deposit if you did not show up.
Come on. It's not in your contract.
I know I should have written it, but it was
It's not there. And if you write up a contract and it's not there, I mean, not that I'm saying this might not have been altered to alter the money, because I think that that's a possibility. Because clearly I believe that you sold the van for $1,100. So why would you sell it to him for $2,000 and then sell it to somebody else for half that? You have a price there for me?
Trade-in fair is $900, Judge.
Okay. Fine. So no way, Mr. Burt, do I believe that you paid $2,000 for this van.
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Do you understand that you agreed to pay $2,000 for this van?
Yes.
No way. Okay, because you're a businessman. And a businessman doesn't pay twice as much for something that it's worth and it's listed in that book for. So this, sir, that you handed to me, you altered.
No.
Oh, yes, you did. Yeah, you did. $2,000, deposit $1,200. That's what you wrote here. So somebody wrote in a 1 in front of the 2 and changed the 1 to a 2. Somebody did that. Maybe it was the used car ferry or something. I don't know. Somebody did it, if not you. So don't try to pull one over on me, Mr. Burt. He should have given you your deposit back, but don't try to make money off this thing. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He says, get off my property, harassing me, or I'm gonna blow your head off. Got me in the
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Weaver says he was arrested when Stephen Burt filed a false report with the police. Stephen says Rick threatened him and then threw a brick at his car.
Now, he came to your house a couple of times for the money. Is that right?
Yes. The first time he came, I had told him it was non-refundable, and he left. He said he was going to sue me. I said, fine, do what you got to do. He came back again, and in good faith, I said, listen. I said, in good faith, we had a verbal agreement about the deposit. Said it was non-refundable. It was verbal. I said, in good faith, I'll give you half of it back when I get my disability check. He agreed to that. He said that was fine, and I told him to come back, you know, in about a month I'd have it. So he showed up 2 weeks later, and that's when all this other stuff occurred.
Well, tell me about all the other stuff, sir.
Me and my fiance were pulling up in my driveway. He pulled up behind us. We were walking up to my door, and he said, I need to get all your information. I said, what do you mean information? He said, for information to sue you. I said, you have my information. You have my, you know where I live. You know my name. I said, you have all my information. There's nothing. I said, you get off my property, or I'm calling the cops because you're harassing me about this $100. And he left.
Why? It's not 100. It's 200.
Yeah, I know, but we had agreed on 100.
You didn't give him the 100.
No, because I didn't have my disability check yet.
You got the money from the car,
Right.
sir.
I paid my mortgage. At the
That's
time.
not his problem.
I know.
And I believe that you threatened him because that's what he's going to tell me. Is that right, Mr. Burt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I've already caught you in one lie, so let's not do it again. I want you to tell me exactly what happened the second time you went to his house and said to him, give me your information. Do you understand, Mr. Burt? I don't want you to fabricate anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
I went to Mr. Weaver's house. I seen him and his girlfriend pull in the driveway. I pulled behind him. Mr. Weaver came over to me. He says, I told you when I get my disability, I was going to give you the $100. I said, well, we need to let a judge decide what to do in this case because I shouldn't keep coming to you for a deposit that
You're
you owe
absolutely
me.
right.
I said, and the reason I'm here is just to get your complete address and a telephone number so they can contact you.
Okay.
He stormed away from me. He went in the house. He came out, slammed open the screen door. He was pointing an object at me. I couldn't see what it was, but he says, get off my property, you're harassing me, or I'm going to blow your effing head off. He caught me in. I got in my car. He came off the step. He threw a brick, and he did damage to my car, doing over $800, Your Honor. And I have pictures of the damage.
Well, let
and
me
I
see.
also have a...
And I want to see the police report.
I
And
don't
this
have
was
the
on
police report with me. I
Why
just
not?
have... The only thing that I received was a complaint from Mr. Weaver. They never
Did
gave
you-
me a police report where I filed on him.
When did you file?
I filed the same day
Where?
at Clementon Police Department.
So you left his house and went right to the police department?
Yes, ma'am, after he threw the brick.
Okay, when were you arrested, sir?
The next day, me and my fiance and her 12-year-old daughter were pulling up my driveway. Chief pulled in. I've known for years. He said, "Rick, I have to arrest you. Someone said you threatened them with a gun." I said, "You know me better." And I said, I hate guns. I don't even let my kids play with plastic guns."
It's not true, Your Honor.
Shh, quiet.
And he said, "Well, I have to do my job. It's coming from Camden Superior Court, and I have to do my job." So they arrested me, took me down, fingerprinted me. I got arrested in front of my 12-year-old future stepdaughter, which was very embarrassing and degrading. They took me down in front of all my friends who were police officers. I'm friends with everybody in the town. Arrested me, fingerprinted me, photoed me. I had to go in a van, ride around in a van, a county van. They put me in a holding cell for 22 hours with 18 guys. The one was the guy was laying next to me on the floor, was defecating in.
I don't care. Don't go. It doesn't listen to me. Your goal could have been avoided if you gave him his $200, right? All could have been avoided if you gave him his $200. Now, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you throw a brick at his car?
No, ma'am.
No, I don't believe you did.
No, ma'am.
I don't believe you did, but I do believe you threatened him.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, that I believe. I believe that you told him to get off or you're going to blow whatever. That I believe you did. You see what happens when you lie once, Mr. Burt? When you lie once, like this, and you hand this kind of stuff to me, then I find suspect other things that you say when it's not consistent. What is consistent is that he got annoyed with you coming around, that when you came back and you were very polite, you said to him, "I need all your information. I need your full address." You had his address. All you had to do was look up at the number on the house and you see his address. You wanted a phone number. Do you need a phone number? I'm not sure you do, but you wanted his phone number. I can understand him not wanting to give you the phone number because maybe he was afraid that you'd keep calling to harass him. But I do believe he threatened you. Don't believe this, don't believe this. So I believe you have the right to go and say he threatened me. If they followed through with that, I assume you told them the whole story, then you have no case. Now, you have a counterclaim for the return of your deposit and the damage to your car. He's suing you for $3,000 for intentional infliction of emotional distress for the time he spent in jail and being arrested, all of which came about because he didn't do the right thing. He, in effect, stole your money. Understand that? You stole his money. He gave you $200. You refused to give it back. He was very patient. You were treating him like a fool. And that's what happened to you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Weaver says he was arrested when Stephen Burt filed a false report with the police. Stephen says Rick threatened him and then threw a brick at his car.
You shouldn't have been a pig, which you were. He said, not only am I going to get $1,100 from this guy, I'm going to get another $200. It's $1,300 for the van. And the van is, according to you, got 200,000 miles, all banged up, not worth much, 13 years old, right?
Right.
So here I got top dollar for this van. So you spent 2 days in jail because you were a pig. As far as you're concerned, sir, you're suing him for $2,085.12, damage to your car, which I don't believe, and return of the van deposit, which you say is $800, which I also don't believe. $200. So you get $200, you get $200, you both get nothing. Goodbye.
Excuse, you may step out.
I think he should have handled it more like a man.
He pleaded his case. I had to pay $7,500 cash bail, and I spent 2 days
And
in
the
jail.
prosecutor in Camden ended up throwing it out anyway because it was
all the
based on a
cases were thrown
lie.
out because he lied on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barker versus Laughlin. Step forward, please.
25-year-old occupational therapist Carla Barker is suing her ex-fiancé, heavy equipment operator Donald Laughlin, for the return of a waterbed mattress and 2 jackets.
Miss Barker, you and the defendant have been engaged for a period of time well over a year ago.
Correct.
According to your complaint, you broke up in September of 2001. You moved out. The defendant owes you for some furniture and 2 jackets.
That is correct.
Fine. Those are the 2 jackets.
Yes,
Bird,
ma'am.
would you transfer the 2 jackets to her? He says you can take back the 2 jackets and I don't owe you a dime. Is that right, sir?
Exactly.
Great.
So, Miss Barker, you can tell me now. Now you have your 2 jackets back.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you lived in the same residence, sir, in the same city for the last year and a half?
Yes, ma'am. I've lived there for 6 years.
Worked at the same job?
Yes, ma'am.
So are you Rip Van Winkle? Where have you been for the last year and a half if you claim he owes you money?
I haven't been not dealing with this. For the last 6 months, I have been trying to work with Donald through an attorney that I had acquired to resolve these matters.
When you moved out in September of 2001, what property did you take with you?
I took a love seat, a papasan chair I had. I took another queen-size bed that I had possession of. I had 2 dressers. I had a cedar chest.
Now, what is it that you claim that he has that belongs to you?
He has a mattress, a replacement waterbed mattress. What it is an actual mattress.
A replacement waterbed mattress?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The waterbed had a bag in it that you filled with water. However, I was having difficulty sleeping on that. It was hurting my back. So I purchased basically a regular mattress that had pads on both sides. And it was a regular mattress that fits into the frame of the waterbed.
What else do you want?
There was a computer desk that was purchased. That I had purchased.
So why didn't you take it with you?
Well, at the time, it was too big and it was put together. It would have had to have been dismantled to be taken apart and for me to take. That would have required time, which he was not willing to give me.
So now you decided you wanted it?
Well, yes, when I was...
Well, I'm sorry you don't get it.
But, ma'am, I believe that he is in possession of it. I purchased it.
I don't care whether
and if
you
it is in his possession, that he owes me the money for that.
No, he doesn't.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, you can. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
There are no courts for people who live together. Clearly, when you separated, he had no problem with you taking a whole bunch of stuff out of the apartment. Because I read your complaint. I read your complaint and I read his answer. He had no trouble. You left, and you said, "You take this stuff. You want to take this stuff. You take it. The rest of the stuff, you leave here." You couldn't take this big bandura with you. You had no place to put it, so you said, "The hell with it. I'll leave it there." As far as the bed is concerned, you had him get rid of his waterbed because you had a pain in your back. He got rid of his waterbed. You put another mattress there. Now you want the mattress back?
Yes, ma'am, I do, because he is still in possession of the bag that went in it in the first place.
You can't have it back. Because if
Then
you
I
wanted
believe-
any of these things back, a week after you moved out, if you had gone to him and said, "Now I want these things because I believe they're mine," then you litigate it.
Ma'am,
You
we
don't
have
come
been
into
dealing
court a
with
year and a
this
half
for-
later and say, "Well, now I have a house that's big enough."
Ma'am, I
When should
haven't
it be?
moved either. My place of residence is still the same.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because it's not the fact that I can fit it, it's the fact that I want him, and I believe that he owes me for that.
He's
And
not giving you a penny.
I have been dealing with
He's
an
not
attorney
giving
for
you
6 months.
a penny. The day after you move out, you resolve all issues. He lets you take a whole bunch of stuff with you. And all of a sudden, you wake up 8 months later and say,
One on the calendar in the matter of Crum versus Napier. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Is this your mother?
Yes.
What's your first name?
My first name, Angela.
Let me see if I understand the relationships here. Miss Crum, you belong to a dart league. You were playing darts at a sports bar.
Yes.
On your team was Mrs. Napier's boyfriend.
He's the dart captain.
He's the captain.
Yes.
So far correct?
Yes.
Now, according to you, this young lady, Angela, assaulted you and you were injured at the sports bar where you were competing in a dart contest.
Yes.
Along with Mrs. Napier's boyfriend.
Correct.
Angela said that she didn't lay a hand on you. But she does say that there was certain interaction with you on that evening. What was the date?
November 11th, 2002.
So I am going to start with Angela because I was really interested in her answer. What time, Angela, did you and your mother get to the sports bar?
It's probably around 6 or 7.
And you got there, I assume, to watch the boyfriend in the dart game. Is that right?
Yeah.
And what is his name?
Rob.
Does he live with your mother?
Yes.
Do you live with your mother?
Yes.
So I want you to tell me what you saw happen with Miss Crum that irritated you.
Okay. We were there, we were all having a good time, and she had been all over basically every man in the bar that night.
What does that mean, all over?
Like hugging, kissing, dancing. She had her hands all over.
Hugging,
everybody.
kissing, dancing, her arm draped over them, around their waist, that sort of
Exactly.
thing. And that irritated you?
No, that didn't irritate me.
Must have been memorable for you because you remember it.
Oh, yeah, I remember it.
Go ahead.
And then as she started doing the same thing with my mother's boyfriend, that started to irritate me and irritated my mother, of course.
Now, Tell me exactly what you saw her do to Rob.
Okay, he was sitting at the table by my mother, and she walked up behind him and put her arms around him and kissed him on the cheek.
Around his neck?
Yeah, around his neck. He was sitting.
And what did he do?
He just looked at my mom like, what should I do? He didn't say or do anything, really.
He looked at your mother. Show me the expression on his face.
Gosh, it was just like big-eyed, you know, like, I don't know what to do.
So she put her arms around his neck and kissed him on the cheek from behind.
Right.
Next.
And my mom got upset, told her to get her hepatitis C hands off of him.
That was a dumb thing for you to do, madam. This Rob doesn't have a voice? He's a mute?
No.
And why did you open up your mouth to her? Stand up.
Oh.
Why did you open up your mouth?
Because I seen her in the bar many times and ignored her. Got along with her fine, you know, because she wasn't dealing with us.
I'm not talking about many times.
And why did I say
Before,
that?
I'm talking about she comes up to your boyfriend. She puts her arms around his neck. She's not doing it so that you can't see it. You know, maybe she had a couple, 2 drinks.
She got the story a little wrong. She did do it where I was in the bathroom.
No, listen to me. Your daughter says that you were sitting right there and that Rob turned around and looked at you with big eyes like, what do I do?
Right.
So you're telling me that your daughter was mistaken?
She is mistaken.
Your daughter now is mistaken about a very
because
big
he did
event.
that when I came back and told her that. That's when
She had kept doing it through the night over and over again.
Just a minute. Don't change your story. So you turned around and you said to her, get your hepatitis C hands off my boyfriend.
And the reason I said that was because I know she was with somebody that had that disease.
Well, that was a stupid thing
Well,
for
it
you
wasn't
to
very nice,
say.
and I'm not saying it was nice.
It was a stupid thing for you to say. Very dumb. Now you can sit down.
Okay.
Till I need you again. So now your mother opens up a big fresh mouth. And what do? Be very careful, because I've got your answer that's sworn to right here.
Well, basically, at that point, we didn't do anything. I went up to her after she had walked away and everything.
No. According to you, you said, hey, you've got all these guys in here buying you drinks and you're kissing them. Do you think she wants you hanging on her boyfriend?
Yeah, but...
Did you forget that?
No, I said that. I said that
okay.
to her.
So after your mother opened up a big...
away.
Just a second. After your mother opened up a stupid fresh mouth, then you decided to finish it off.
Yes.
Then what happened next?
We went back to having a good time. Everything seemed to be fine. And then she started making gestures and giving us the finger. So then I started walking towards her. She was yelling obscenities.
What were you walking towards her for?
Because I was going to confront her and
confront her about what?
Me. She seemed like she had some issues with me, so I was walking.
Of course she had issues with you, madam. You opened up a fresh mouth to her for no reason.
Well, that's why I walked over there.
You went over to confront her.
To confront her, yes.
Now I'll hear you.
I was putting my darts away. I did not realize that there was a problem, if you will, with myself. I was basically hit like a freight train. I went flying into the tables, I fell onto the floor, and I was being hit. And then the next thing you know, I was being picked up and escorted out the bar for my safety.
How do you know it was the defendant who was hitting you?
I don't know that the defendant was hitting me. I was hit.
Do you have any witnesses?
Absolutely.
Then I'll hear the witness. Tell me your name.
Betty Jeter.
Are you on the dart team?
Yes, I am.
I want you to tell me what you saw.
I was standing on the opposite side of the table. There was Andrea. There wasn't another girl that is not here standing next to her. We were putting our darts away, and then I saw Angela coming toward Andy, and she came around the other girl. I seen her hand go around the other girl. Next thing you know, they were down on the floor, tables had flying.
Who's they were down on the floor?
Judy, Andy, and Angela.
Who's Judy?
She's one of the girls that's not here.
Did you see Judy have any issues with this?
No, Judy
lady?
didn't have any issues with her.
Did you see her strike anybody?
It would have been around Judy, and I didn't see where the hand landed.
Now I'll come back to you.
Okay,
Look at me.
It was
now you're walking over to confront her.
Yes. So I get over there, and before I could even get over there, Judy and her fell on the ground.
No, look at me. Now you're closing your eyes. She and Judy, who had not had any issues.
No, because she didn't realize it was Judy.
No,
she had her eyes shut.
Just a second. she didn't have any issues with Judy.
No.
So she and Judy just somehow ended up on the ground, and then you ended up on the ground?
No, I was over there, and me and her were arguing back and forth.
Oh, you didn't say that here, honey. You didn't say that in your answer. I didn't hear anything about arguing back and forth. What were you arguing?
Well, we were arguing the whole time when she was flipping me off and, you know.
I didn't hear
yelling.
that. So how are you arguing? Tell me how you were arguing. She's flipping you off and you're doing what?
Basically yelling obscenities at her. She was yelling obscenities back at me. And then Judy stepped in to help, I think, to try to break us up from fighting because we hadn't contacted.
Yes.
And she fell on the ground, and Judy, she had grabbed Judy and was punching Judy in the head. And she had her eyes shut, so I don't believe that she knew who she was punching in the head. She probably believed it was me, but it was really Judy. And I believe that's how she broke her wrist.
And what about you? What were you doing?
I was sitting in a chair.
You just sat down in a chair?
Yep, I was
Is that
sitting
right?
in the
She
chair.
was sitting in a chair?
On the
I
floor.
didn't see her sitting in the chair.
Where did you see her?
I seen her on the floor.
Of course. Let me see your medical bills, please.
And can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Also, she didn't go to the doctor for like a week, and she didn't call the cops or anything. And she acted like everything was fine and dandy with me. I would just think if her wrist was broken, it would hurt really bad, and you would go right to the emergency room.
Did you graduate from Einstein Medical College or Harvard? Which one?
No, that was just my opinion. Neither.
No, let me explain something to you about opinions. When you have an opinion that is a scientific opinion, you have to have a scientific opinion based upon some particular skill, experience, training, education. There are certain things that we know as lay people that are within the realm of common knowledge, like if somebody's got their arm draped over your boyfriend, if the boyfriend doesn't say, "Get your hands off me, I'm uncomfortable," then you keep your mouth shut. Then you get rid of the boyfriend. You don't get rid of the girl. And if your mother is offended by something that happened to your mother, she's at least 20 years older than you are, you let her deal with it yourself unless you've had too much to drink. Then you open up your big fresh mouth over something that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and you get yourself into a whole bunch of trouble. And if this young woman here had a couple of too much to drink and was making a little bit of a fool of herself, then it was up to the men to say, "We don't appreciate that." So let me ask you this question. You come out of the sports bar and you have a flat tire. Who's going to change the tire? You or Rob?
Rob.
Of course. Do you know why? Because he's good for things like changing tires. He can also say, "Get your hands off me." He doesn't have to be protected by you.
Well, it's easy for people to say it, but nobody was there but us, so we know what happened. And we came in dressed like we always dressed, but they come in dressed like they're holier than thou, and that's not their dress.
I don't care whether they're dressed like holier than. What difference does it make, madam? We're talking about your fresh mouth.
I'm not the only one in life that has a fresh mouth.
Just a second. I don't care whether you're the only one in life. We're here discussing one case.
That's what happens when you go to the bar.
I've been in bars before. I mean, I don't hang around in bars, and I don't belong to a dart league. But I've been in clubs before. I've been in bars before, and I want to tell you something. I haven't heard the kind of business in places where I've been that I just heard here. Haven't. Sorry. Okay. Just a second. Take this back because I'm not interested in this.
That is the cost of the, I was told that I need to, my hand is still broke, I need to go to the occupational therapy. This is, since I have not attended.
You have several choices. I don't speculate with regard to what you might possibly need in the future without an expert witness. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have incurred a certain amount of bills up until this date. These I am prepared to entertain. What I'm not prepared to do without an expert witness who can testify as to the condition of your wrists, the need and the duration of any therapy, nor am I prepared to entertain the cost of any therapy. So you can either say, "Judge, I would like you to dismiss this case without prejudice. I will refile it in another date, 6 months or a year from now," or "Would you please entertain my current costs? And then I will, if additional treatment is necessary, I have to take care of that myself." Now, what do you want to do?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She'd paint like the kitchen like a yellow and blue color. She'd paint like all over the house, all kinds of different colors. She'd put like candles up and pictures.
I can't say that you had a different decorating taste than she did because you had no taste.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Andrea Crum says she was assaulted by Angela Napier. Angela says Andrea was flirting with her mother's boyfriend.
Okay, what's your pleasure? Do you want me to proceed with the actual costs that you've incurred so far, or not?
No.
No what?
Dismiss the case.
It's done. Case is dismissed without prejudice. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Jealous you'll get you nowhere.
It's a small town, and she's known as the town whore.
I don't want anything to do with her, man. I actually have my own.
Pretty much every woman in Sheboygan has given me a thumbs up.
It never stops there. It's like Peyton Place.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kruger versus Estes. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Abby Kruger is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old bartender Michael Estes, for unpaid rent. Michael says he stopped paying because he didn't like her taste in decorating.
Miss Kruger, your family owns a house. And you are in charge of renting the rooms in that house. It's a college community?
Right.
You rented a room to the defendant, and it is your claim that he owes you for 2 months' rent, $600. Now, I've read Mr. Estes's answer, and he acknowledges that he didn't pay the rent, right?
Right.
He says he didn't like your decorating. And he told you that if you continued to paint the house in colors he didn't like, he wasn't going to pay the rent. Isn't that what you told me in here? I just wanted to make sure that that's what you said.
Yeah. She didn't let me have a say in anything in the house at all.
Since when are men in charge of decorating? Since when are men in charge of decorating? You can decorate your closet, that's it. And that's if it's your house. If it's not your house, you can even decorate your closet. Mr. Estes, how old are you, sir?
19.
You go to college?
No, I took a semester off.
Are you planning on going back to school?
Yes.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A police officer.
That's a legitimate career. I'm curious because I thought perhaps you wanted to go into interior design.
No.
Clearly not. Now, I want you, Mr. Estes, to convince me why I should, or she should, forgive the $600 rent that you owe her because you didn't like the colors that she painted the house, okay? It's all yours, sir.
I moved in August, and then she moved in around the end of August, I think. And then both the guys moved out, and then we were getting along, and then she kept decorating the house, and I said, you know, I want to have a say in this house too, and she wouldn't let me have a say ever in the house.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like, she would paint this side of the wall red and, like, this side of the wall red, and then both these sides would be white. She'd paint, like, the kitchen like a yellow and blue color. She'd paint the hallways and paint, like, all over the house all kinds of different colors, and I didn't like it.
What
and
color do you like?
It was white. White was fine to me.
You like plain white. You don't like color. You like it plain, nice, plain, clean white.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Bird and I are fascinated.
And that's about it. I just told her, you know, I'm not going to pay rent if I never have to stay in the house, and she was just like, whatever, you know.
You're talking about a say in that. You're talking about the color. I mean, I want to know if there's anything else other than the color. She painted 2 walls.
Just the way that she decorated the house, it was like all like girl house, and I couldn't put anything up at all.
Explain that to me. Other than the color, what else did she decorate?
Just she'd put like candles up and all these weird lamps and pictures. It was just
Pictures or pictures?
pictures.
Pictures that you pour from or pictures on the wall?
Pictures on the wall.
Pictures. What kind of pictures did she put up?
I don't know. They're just like artist kind of pictures. I don't know what it really was.
Shh! Please! Mr. Rest, this is very serious. Who are you?
I'm his girlfriend.
Please don't move. I didn't ask you to stand up. I just wanted to know whether you were just fixing your hair or raising your hand.
I just have something to say.
Either way, stop it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Estes, your defense is the most ridiculous defense that I've heard in a very long time. Most ridiculous. If you want white walls, you take an apartment where you live all by yourself with your girlfriend, and you have white walls. This is not your house. You are merely a boarder in one room. It was her house. You have a room. You are entitled to decorate your room. If you and this girlfriend of yours get together and get married, I guarantee you're going to have more than white walls. And you know what you're going to say when she comes home and she's painted the hallway yellow? You know what you're going to say? Yes, dear. That's what you're going to say, because you're going to be out there protecting the peace and security of your neighborhood in your chosen profession. And since white walls are the walls that appeal to you and no pictures on the walls appeal to you, I can't say that you had a different decorating taste than she did because you had no taste. So you pay her the $600. Mr. Estes, you're supposed to do the right thing. You want to be a police officer? Police officers have good character. They have a good moral compass. They know right from wrong. You lived in the house. You lived in the house for 2 months. The rent was $300 a month. You didn't pay the rent, and then you came up with a lot of baloney excuses. That's not what a moral person does. And you've chosen a profession that requires that kind of moral compass. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
McQueen versus McQueen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. McQueen, this is your son,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your wife,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you are not his mother.
No, I'm not.
According to your complaint, you received a telephone call from the defendant, from jail.
Yes, ma'am.
And he told you that he was incarcerated and wanted to be bailed out.
Yes, ma'am.
You said, I have to wait till your father gets home.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do when you came home and your wife told you that your son was incarcerated?
We had several checks at the house that we'd received from. I had surgery in July, and they amounted to. There was money we were going to use for our house insurance, and his bail was $1,000. So we discussed it. He has quite a good job, so we weren't too worried about him paying us back. She had talked with him, and he told her where to go to bail him out, and we went to the bank and went down to the jail, and we paid it.
Mrs. McQueen, what did the defendant say to you and you say to him during the conversation?
He called and I answered, and he said, is Dad there? I said, no, he hasn't come home from work. He says, I'm in trouble. I said, what's the matter? He says, I'm in jail. And I said, a DWI? He said, yes. And I said, how much? He said, $1,000 to get me out.
When was the next time you saw your son?
Well, when I paid the $1,000, the first thing the officer informed me of, if I wanted to get my money back, I would have to initial off, but I would have to seek it through him. Then the officer brought him out, and he came outside to us through the locked doors. And when he got out, he didn't look in very good shape.
Have you bailed him out before?
No,
Has he been arrested before for DWI?
not for DWI, no. He was arrested when he was 7 years old.
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
for DWI. Your wife seemed to question him immediately and said to him, for DWI. What made you think it was a DWI?
Because we had talked maybe a couple of days ago before that, and said, if you ever get a collect call from Jason, it's probably because he's in jail for drinking.
He's had a drinking problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
And when he got out, he wasn't in good shape, and I said, where's your car? And he said they impounded it. And I said, well, how much is it going to be to get out? And I forget the exact amount. It was over $70. I handed him 4 20s, and I asked him, what happened with you? And he said he was playing pool, and the officer had arrested him, and that he had taken the breathalyzer, and he'd blown a 223. When we got his car, he asked me to drive him home because his license was pulled. And so then his car was empty on gas, so I gave him another 20, and I told him, that's $1,100 you owe me now.
And what did he say?
He didn't say anything, he just nodded his head. That Friday, he came and spent the night, and he talked with Linda that night and told her that he thought he wouldn't be able to pay it back or wouldn't pay it back. So she told me that the next morning, and I called him and talked to him, and he said, well, Dad, you know, it's your duty. He's 28.
Just a minute. Okay, Mr. McQueen. Let's hear it, sir.
What do you want to know, Your Honor? I did get arrested, was in jail. I called my stepmother the previous night, and I told her I was in jail and stuff. I didn't know if she could do anything or whatnot. And
what did you call her to do for you?
I just called her to let her know where I was. She might expect me home or something, wonder where I was, Dad didn't want her wondering.
You didn't tell her how much it would cost to get you out of jail?
I said, yeah, and I'm in jail. They got me for DWI last night, and they said it was going to be $1,000, and she said, well, your dad gets home in an hour, we'll be there. Yeah, I've been in jail before, Your Honor. It wasn't a very interesting experience.
Well, a very unpleasant experience. You're 28 years old, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I fix computers for Sprint.
How long have you had that job?
About 5 years now.
What's your annual salary?
Believe it's currently at $44,000.
$44,000?
Yes, ma'am.
What other financial obligations do you have, Mr. McQueen?
Car.
What
my
kind of
phone.
car do you drive?
2000 Civic.
What other financial obligations do you have?
Insurance, phone, the usual things, Your Honor.
Right.
It's completely unrelated to this case, I guess, but I recently just kind of lost my head. I mean, it's a lot of the reasons that I was in the situation I was when I got here with the police and the drinking and all that. And I recently started trying to pull myself back out. And I've worked it out, you know, with my car company because I'm like 3 months behind on just about everything. And
Mr. McQueen, sounds to me
he knows
as if,
this.
Just a minute, but it sounds to me, sir, if you earn $44,000 a year and you're unmarried and you were living at home,
I'm paying rent to my mother.
paying a modest rent, and you don't have any children,
No, ma'am.
so that something else in addition to alcohol has been happening in your life recently.
Recently, I just broke up with my girlfriend and on the antidepressants, the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay. Did you stop drinking?
Since then?
Yeah.
I've stopped doing anything where I get in the car afterwards.
Have you stopped drinking?
No, ma'am.
It's probably a mistake.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My lawyer doesn't really seem to think I've got much hope.
Clearly, your son is having a difficult time.
He copped an attitude.
You can't cop an attitude. You're supposed to say thank you.
And later today,
Nowhere did you write gift here.
Well, he said, don't worry about the $800. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then I said, so you're saying that's a gift? And he said, yes.
Are you kidding me or what?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patrick McQueen says his son Jason McQueen owes him for bailing him out of jail and car impound fees.
You sound like a nice young man who's having a bad time. This was your first arrest, sir, since you were 7?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've held the same job for 5 years, which means that he's really not a bum.
No.
Right?
No.
Right. Can you not believe you're standing here?
It was a month ago, Your Honor. It was the 6th. That was the day I got arrested.
Well, what happens, Mr. McQueen, is when you say, there's no way I can pay you back, that makes them angry. Do you understand? I don't know whether I would have, as a parent, Mr. McQueen, pursued this matter as expeditiously as you did, because clearly your son is having a difficult time.
No offense, Your Honor. I've had quite enough police around me. Didn't need any more.
Okay. All right.
He copped an attitude.
You can't cop an attitude. You're supposed to say thank you. You know, thank you, and I can't pay you back right now, but I'll pay you back in increments. You know, I don't want you to be out $1,000 for my stupidity.
My lawyers even got me paying him back like every paycheck.
Well, yeah, there's nothing much you can do, sir, on a 2 reading. Has that case come to court yet?
No, ma'am. It's a 2-3.
Shh. Did you tell your attorney in the criminal matter that you planned on appearing in civil court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your attorney suggest to you that that was not a good idea?
No, ma'am.
Get another attorney.
Can I inquire as to why?
Because had I known that there was a criminal action still pending for driving while intoxicated against you, I would not have asked you questions surrounding that incident, including the fact that you do in fact have an alcohol problem. That does not enhance your position in the criminal case, sir.
No offense, Your Honor, but my lawyer doesn't really seem to think I've got much hope other than throwing myself on
the court's mercy.
The court's mercy.
Well, that's fine. Then I don't know what you need a lawyer for, sir. If you're going to plead guilty, what are you paying the lawyer for? Then the lawyer's doing nothing for you. Your father at least bailed you out of jail, right?
I guess you're right.
You could have stayed in jail.
The cost of a 5-year job, Your Honor.
Absolutely. So it was a good thing that your dad helped you out. And the fact that you're having financial trouble on $44,000 a year income and not any major responsibilities suggests to me that you either have a gambling problem, or you have a gambling and a drug problem, or you have some other place where that money is going, because it sure is not going to pay your car, which you say you're behind 3 months on, or your insurance. So there's something else going on with your life. He wants his money back. You think it's right that he gets it back?
I think if it was my kid, I'd like to do everything I could. And if he wasn't, like, able to pay me back, then he wasn't able to pay me back.
But you are able, sir. You're just prioritizing. You're just prioritizing.
He's heard my accounts. He knows they're like toast.
That's because your money is going someplace else.
Back and forth to work, paying a car payment every paycheck. I'm, like, really behind, Your Honor.
You may be
there
really
was a
behind,
long
sir,
time
but there
that-
are families of 4 and 5 that live on $44,000 a year and are not paying a couple of bucks rent to their mama. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, that's all.
Oh, ma'am, there was the
I understand, sir. You want the impound fee and the $20 for gas. You're very lucky you're getting the $1,000. I'm going to tell you why you're getting this judgment, because I'm going to find that by nodding to you in acceptance when you gave him the money, there was a tacit agreement that he would pay you back. But at the time you paid this money, Mr. McQueen, you did not have an agreement with him that this was a loan. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm finding that based upon his acquiescence to the loan subsequently, even though he wasn't in such good shape, that you are entitled to your money back. Don't push me. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Time he got some responsibility and has got a handle on his life.
I'm working on it. I have been working on it. He knows I've been working on it. It's just, it doesn't come instantly. There you go. You're gonna get a kiss on each cheek, too.
And now the next case.
All parties are on Martinez versus Ortiz. Step forward.
32-year-old store manager Jimmy Martinez is suing his ex-fiancée, 25-year-old hotel assistant GM Veronica Ortiz, for a deposit on a car. Veronica is countersuing for furniture and an apartment deposit.
All right, in this case, the chronology is very important. Mr. Martinez, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about 3 years?
4 years, ma'am.
And that living together arrangement ended when, sir?
Approximately mid-November last year, 99.
And according to your complaint, that was a rather amicable split. You remained friends.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Sometime the following month, the defendant contacted you because she wanted to purchase a car. And you agreed to go with her to the dealership. And you went to the dealership, and she didn't have enough money for the down payment. What I can piece together is the car salesman said to you, well, give me a check to hold the car.
Yes, ma'am.
A check for $800.
Yes.
And the agreement was that the salesman would not cash this check, but would wait for you to come up with the remainder of the balance. Now, according to you, Mr. Martinez, what happened was you started getting your bank statements months later, and you had checks bouncing all over the place because this check got cashed.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want your $800.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have an interesting defense and counterclaim.
Correct.
Now I'll hear you.
Well, the $800 was initially not supposed to be cashed, and I understand that. But for some reason it did, and I agreed to him that I'm sorry that that happened. Then at that time, he decided that he said, don't worry about the $800 due to the fact that we, just don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And then I said, so you're saying that's a gift? And he said, yes.
Are you kidding me or what?
No, no, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His intention, Your Honor, was to get me to move back with him. That's the truth, Your Honor.
Madam, I don't think you'd know the truth if it came up and bit you in the nose.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jimmy Martinez says ex-fiancée Veronica Ortiz owes him for a deposit on a car. Veronica says Jimmy is the one who owes.
So now you're telling me under oath that he told you forget about the $800. It was a gift.
Correct.
So let me read to you what you wrote in your answer. He has a lot of nerve taking me to court. You say we were engaged, making wedding plans. Who cares about that? Finally, in September of 1999, I had enough of his mental and physical abuse. He kicked me out, but wouldn't let me move all of my stuff out. So first today, you tell me that this was an amicable break, right? And that everything was nice. And a month afterwards, after you broke up, you asked him to go with you. He put down a check for $800. Now you say, at least in here, that he kicked you out of the house and he still had my furniture and a refrigerator that he wouldn't return.
Correct.
Our lease was up in February and he was supposed to give me back my share of the deposit. He didn't do it. Since he refused to return my furniture and security deposit from an apartment that he kicked me out of, I let the dealership cash his check. Nowhere in here do you say anything about gift. He told you to forget about it. I mean, I know you're smiling at me.
Judge.
And you have a counterclaim. I am counterclaiming. After kicking me out of the apartment, he never returned my furniture and refrigerator, which were worth $1,600, that he refuses to give me.
He has all my furniture, Your Honor, and unfortunately, this $800 was a gift. When I did that, I didn't remember what happened. And then when I went through all my paperwork, I realized what had happened. And I saw that it was a gift. And all the items that he still owes me as well, I have receipts for. I have several pieces of furniture and also...
I don't care about your furniture, madam. You told me this was a gift.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Nowhere did you write gift here.
It's because I didn't go through my paperwork, Your
What do you
Honor.
have to go through your paperwork for?
Because I didn't realize...
Where in your paperwork does it show you gift? Show me where in the paperwork it says gift. That your recollection was
Your
refreshed
Honor.
after you went through your paperwork. Show me where it says
No,
gift.
Your Honor, I don't have anything that states that it was a gift.
Well, just a second. So that when you went through your paperwork, what refreshed your recollection that led you to believe that now it was a gift?
Because the conversation that we had, he sent me a letter in regards to the $800.
Well, then let me see it.
Okay. Judge, I highlighted the pieces that I remember.
Shh. All right, let me read this. What refreshed her recollection that this was a gift. This is a letter written by you, sir, to her on the 31st of July of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
You write to her, I immediately called you to make arrangements for repayment when you found out that they had cashed the check. You said you couldn't pay me at that time and asked me if I would take several pieces of furniture in lieu of the money. I declined that offer because what I had loaned you was $800 in cash, and that's what I expected back in return. That's what you underlined, by the way. That's what you highlighted. Then in this letter you write to her, upon returning home from your job, you called me back. That means she called you back and said that you had discussed the matter with your sister.
But that didn't happen,
And
Your
she
Honor.
had advised you against repaying me because all we had was a verbal agreement and the $800 could be construed as a gift.
That never happened, Your Honor. That never happened, Your Honor. Unfortunately, the $800 was a gift.
No, baloney. $800 you owe him. There's no gift. He has no reason to make you a gift after he breaks up with you or you break up with him.
Well, his intention, Your Honor, was to get me to move back with him. And after he found out that I wasn't willing to move back with him, then that's when he said it was a loan. That's the truth, Your Honor.
Madam, I don't think you know the truth. They came up and bit you in the nose.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now let's get to your counterclaim. You broke up with him a year ago. And you say you left furniture in the apartment after you broke up. And you could have taken all your stuff with you when you left, because you just told me, despite the fact that you wrote here, that it was an amicable breakup.
But I still had furniture there, Your
Just
Honor.
you should have taken it with you if you felt as if it was
But
your
he
furniture.
wouldn't- Your Honor, he wouldn't let me take my furniture.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, if we were friends,
no,
but
just
he
a
still
second.
didn't let me take my furniture.
Just a second. If somebody doesn't let you take your stuff, it's not an amicable breakup. And you don't call them and ask them to go with you for a car and ask them to put out a check for you if he kicked you out of your house and wouldn't let you take your property. And then he doesn't find out that they cashed his check for months. Now you've had November, December, January, February, March, April, May. You've had 7 months to file a lawsuit against him for your furniture.
Your Honor, I don't want to have anything to do with this gentleman. He is very abusive, and he is a total jerk. And
Then why did you, just a second.
Because
then if you wanted nothing to do with him, why did you call him to go to the car dealership
Because
with you?
I was in denial, and I didn't realize that.
Oh, well, get real.
Your
Just for
Honor,
the plaintiff and the amount of $800. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Norris, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some rent, a small loan, and the damage to your apartment. The defendant says that there was never an agreement to pay you anything, and she never borrowed any money. How do you know each other?
We work together.
Where?
River Birch Senior Living.
And what do you do there?
We're both caregivers.
What was she doing living in your apartment?
Well, we became friends, kind of, and she'd been telling me she had a hard time getting money for rent, and she'd been kicked out of her apartment, and she'd been staying with some of her friends, and she was unhappy living where she was, and I felt really bad for her. She has a 5-year-old son, so I figured, I'd let her move in with me for a couple months, and I told her at first, don't worry about paying anything, just buy groceries, do some cooking and some cleaning, and, save up your money, get your own place. And I was trying to help her out. It ended up taking 6 months.
So far, is that right?
No, Your Honor, it's not.
Okay. Well, tell me your version of how it came about that you moved into her apartment, which you did.
Right, I did.
And you moved into her apartment with your child.
I did.
Who else was living in her apartment?
At the time, she had another boyfriend besides Brandon.
So just the plaintiff, her then boyfriend, you and your child.
Correct.
And you moved into her apartment, according to you, with the understanding that you would not be paying rent.
Correct.
Which was very nice of her.
Correct.
What had you ever done for her?
She was one of my friends.
What? That's not my question. What had you ever done for her?
I was just a friend to her, I guess.
So the answer is you did nothing for her.
I guess so.
Okay? So that her gesture in feeling sorry for your living situation and inviting you to live in her home rent-free was a very nice thing.
Okay, Your Honor, but she had paid the rent in a year in advance. I moved in a month after she and her boyfriend had moved in.
You mean the rent was already paid?
Yeah, she had her
So
rent
what
paid for a
difference does
full
that
year.
make? How
There
big-
was no agreement on the rent.
Open up your listening ears and listen to me because, you know, when I start to get agitated, he gets very, very nervous. When you moved into the apartment, it was a nice gesture on her part to let you and your kid move in there rent-free.
I understand that.
Well, then say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now that we've got that settled. Keep going.
She ended up staying there for 6 months. There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened.
Well, at the end of 2 months.
At the end of 2 months.
Which is what you gave her.
She still hadn't saved up any money.
Your Honor, I had already had an apartment that I was in the process of getting.
Oh, great. That was after 2 months?
Yeah. Well, this was actually within a month after I moved into there. I was in the process of getting an apartment. I had put a down payment on an apartment and was in the process, and she kicked her other boyfriend out and had asked if I wanted to stay.
Okay. So the other boyfriend, not this one, left.
Right.
And she asked you if you wanted to stay.
Correct.
Under what circumstances?
There was just the circumstances of the groceries and cleaning, and that was the only
Well, then it was still a
agreement.
nice... Listen to me. It was a really nice gesture because now, according to you, just listen to me. Now, according to you, she no longer had a boyfriend who was helping her share the rent. Now
He
she
wasn't paying rent anyway. Neither one of her boyfriends have paid rent in that place.
Good, so she was covering the rent.
Yeah. She already had paid it for a year. It was paid before she moved in.
This one's as dumb as a bucket of rocks, I swear to you. You're not listening.
I am listening.
Then she was a triply nice person because now she doesn't have a boyfriend living with her, just you and your kid living there rent-free.
No, she moved him in right after she moved her other one out.
So was he paying rent?
No.
So now she got the two of you freeloaders living there
And his
rent-free
kid.
and your kid.
And his kid.
So why didn't you move out?
I was planning on it. I was in the process of that.
But just a second. According to you, you were planning on moving out after 2 months, and you put a deposit down on an apartment. The question is, once she moved this new boyfriend in, why didn't you leave?
I had gotten the deposit back from my other apartment that I was trying to get, and whenever she had offered or asked for me to stay. And then as time went over, I was planning on moving. I was trying to move. I was working on moving, but I didn't have the money at the time.
What'd you do with the money that you got back as a deposit?
I had other bills to pay.
What?
I had a cell phone bill. I have, other bills to pay.
Like what?
I had to buy groceries. I had to buy food.
Groceries and food are usually the same thing.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's
Miscellaneous
synonymous.
items then.
Like
I'm sorry,
what?
Your Honor.
Like what?
Like what? Bathroom stuff, laundry detergent.
That's groceries.
It's miscellaneous household items, I'm sorry. Plus food. My mother bought food for the apartment twice.
Keep going.
I didn't ask her to stay.
Just a second.
Oh.
I think she was buying some other stuff with her money anyway. Keep going.
I didn't ask her to stay. It was just kind of it was unsaid, but I did let her
Miss
stay.
Norris, you just let it go, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the damage that you allege she...
Okay, there was damage to the stairs, her bedroom. The Venetian blinds are torn up.
Who tore up the Venetian blinds?
I don't know how it happened. I have
she had 2
cats,
cats.
but none of the other Venetian blinds are torn up from them getting in the windowsills.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. And there was a incident in the bathroom, her and her boyfriend having a little fun, and she ripped the towel rack out of the wall. I have pictures of that.
I'd like to see it. How old was the boyfriend who she had in the apartment?
26, 28.
What's his name?
Her first boyfriend was Jimmy.
Does Jimmy have a last name?
Jimmy, which was Brandon's best friend, and as soon as him and I split up, that's when all the problems started, because he was his best friend.
Listen to me very carefully. Sounds to me as if Miss Norris was doing a good deed by inviting you and your son, who were homeless.
I wasn't homeless, Your Honor.
Well, where were you living immediately prior to her house? Give me the name, person who you were living with, and their phone number.
His name is Sheindlin, and his phone number is 891.
How do you know him?
Because he was a boyfriend and a friend.
He was a boyfriend and a friend?
Yes.
Was he the father of your 5-year-old?
No, he is not.
Immediately prior to moving in with Miss Norris, how long did you live with Shane?
I would say maybe 6 months, maybe.
Prior to living with him, where did you live?
I had an apartment.
With whom?
With myself.
Where is the father of your 5-year-old?
In Springfield, Illinois.
Did you ever live with him?
A long time ago, before my child was born.
Who do you live with now?
I live with a boyfriend. We were getting ready to move into a house in Auburn.
And what's this boyfriend's name?
Scott.
So far, I know of at least 3
There were
men.
over years of period of time.
No, listen to me very carefully. So far, I know of at least 3 men to whom you have introduced your son.
And that I was with for a long period of time. With
He's
each
only
of them.
5, madam. He's only 5. Grow up. You made a baby. Anybody
And I
can
take
make-
care
I'm
of my
speaking-
child.
Anybody. You didn't take care of him. If you had to move in to this lady's house.
I still have my child, and my child's doing very well, and he's in a very well school. Very well clothed, very well taken
He's at a
care
very
of.
well school. I have to write that down. Send it over to Webster's.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's nice to do nice things for people who appreciate them. This woman clearly does not. There's something wrong with her thinking process. Do you understand?
And later today,
So what you're saying to me is people moving around like idiots to heavy metal music, flailing their arms, etc. And it was when you were doing that you knocked out his teeth.
Yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Summer Norris says her ex-roommate, Brandy Noren, owes for rent, bills, and damages to her apartment. Brandy claims they had no agreement to pay rent.
Now I want you to tell me about this loan that you allege that you made to her.
We took a trip. Your Honor, this trip, there's 2 other people that she bought tickets for on this trip that did not pay her back. So I do not feel that I owe her money on that trip. She knew that I was not able to pay for that trip and that I did not want to go, but she needed me to go because she needed me to participate in her set. It was a dance competition. She needed me to participate.
Your Honor, I paid for...
When was this trip?
In March.
Where did you go?
We went to Baltimore, and I paid for the plane ticket, and, I told her I would pay for it. I didn't want money back for that because...
Fine. Then we don't have to deal with it.
Right.
So you just have to deal with the damage that was done that I see in the house. You want to tell me how much it's going to cost to fix that?
They said $35 an hour to fix everything. We went and got shampoo for the carpets and stuff, and that was about $30. But I have on my lease, and her name is on the lease, and at first, she's right, there was no agreement. But she did agree me to pay $100 every week until she had me paid off because I had gotten very upset. My boyfriend Brandon and I wrote out a list of what she would owe me if I had been charging her for everything. And she found that piece of paper with everything on it, and she sent me a text message saying she would pay me $100 a week until she got it paid off. My boyfriend saw it. I do not have the text message. I didn't think I would need it, but my boyfriend saw it. This is Brandon.
No, listen to me. Don't even bother. You do not have a contract. If you say that she signed a promissory note, I need the note. If you don't have the note, I do not take oral testimony about a written contract. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm just telling you what I'm trying to explain the law to you. You cannot introduce oral testimony of a written contract that you don't have. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, let's say that she owes you $250 for the damage to the apartment. You didn't expect to be repaid for the plane ticket, and you had no contract for rent. And I'm going to suggest something to you, Miss Norris. It's nice to do nice things for people who appreciate them. This woman clearly does not, and did not. You should have put her out before. And I know that that's sometimes a hard thing to do because she's got a 5-year-old child who's probably very sweet. But if you really expected her to reimburse you for money, then you should have put her out before. I mean, she thinks, well, just because you prepaid the rent for a year, it's no skin off your nose if she and her child live there. Well, that's outrageous. I mean, if I had a mortgage and if I prepaid my mortgage on my house for a year, she'd say, well, so what? So the whole neighborhood can move in because what difference does that make to her? She's already paid it. There's something wrong with her thinking process. Do you understand? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Sorry to see a friendship that had to end like this.
She just has no respect for anybody.
Well, she's not going to have my friendship anymore.
That's the kind of person she is, obviously.
That's how I'm going to repay her.
Well, I'll never have a friend move in with me again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Malloy versus Muse. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Timothy Malloy and his mother, Paula, are suing Timothy's former friend, 23-year-old David Muse, for money loaned to have his teeth fixed.
Mrs. Malloy, this is your son.
Yes.
And the defendant used to be his friend.
Still is.
Good. This is your complaint. Your son and the defendant were at some sort of musical event. They were bandmates and friends. And this was some time ago. And at the event, your son accidentally, I assume accidentally, since they're still friends, punched the defendant or hit the defendant in the mouth, causing him to have 2 teeth that came loose, both of which required substantial dental work.
Yes.
At the time, your son was 17 years old.
Yes.
You claim that you loaned the defendant money for the dental work because he didn't have insurance and he did not pay you back.
No.
That's what your lawsuit is about. Mr. Muse, as a defense, says that your son was responsible to pay for his dental work since he was the one who knocked out his teeth. Since he was a minor, that responsibility fell on you. He has a counterclaim for the dental work, but the lawsuit itself resolves that issue, Mr. Muse. You understand? And as far as lost wages are concerned, I don't think that that was originally part of your claim. I don't know why you filed for that.
It was originally part of the counterclaim.
I understand it was part of the counterclaim, sir, but since Mr. Malloy is still a friend of yours, and I understand from his mother that there was a time when you lived in their home after this incident, I don't think that your lost wages became an issue until she sued you for the dental work. That be a fair statement?
The money that I did pay her while I was there could be considered as a sort of a rent for being there.
What does one thing have to do with another? Didn't you understand what I said to you?
Yes.
I said to you that countersuing for your lost wages doesn't seem to me to be something that you would be suing for unless Miss Malloy was suing you for the dental work.
And I also have other dental work. I had the root. She paid for the root canals. I also accrued over $1,000 in other dental work that's not paid for.
That I will consider.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
But his good luck was having someone he knew knock out his teeth and not some stranger at the show. Then he would have had no recourse.
He was very, very lucky. He was very, very lucky.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Timothy Malloy and his mother Paula claim David Muse owes for a loan to have his teeth fixed. David says it's Timothy's fault that his teeth were knocked out while they were moshing at a concert.
So let's get to your lawsuit. First of all, how did you knock out his teeth?
I was moshing at a show.
What's moshing?
It's a form of dancing at like heavier music, like metal or hardcore, where a bunch of people run around, swing their arms and legs, and accidentally hit him in the mouth.
So what you're saying to me is people moving around like idiots to heavy metal music, flailing their arms, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was when you were doing that that you knocked out his teeth?
Yes.
Does that be a fair statement?
Yes.
So whose fault is that, sir?
I guess I would say it was mine.
I guess you would be right.
But he should take some responsibility for being in that situation.
Absolutely not.
He should be aware of what's going on around him.
Absolutely not, Miss Malloy. That's like saying that when you're driving on a highway and you're doing 65 miles an hour, and if there is an accident because a car veers off and hits you, you should be aware of the fact that if cars are going 65 miles an hour, you could get hit. Therefore, it's partially your fault. That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous assertion. Do you understand?
I understand. I've been to these shows. I stand off to the side because I know what's going on.
Well, you're a different person. But would you agree with me that if you and 10 other people are on a highway traveling 65 miles an hour, you know that if there's an accident, you could get hurt?
Yes.
And that some people don't drive as safely as others?
Yes.
And if you're in a car accident, would you think that the other person who did something wrong, who caused the accident, would have a defense if they say, well, if you didn't want to be on the highway where you were going 65 miles an hour, you should stay home? Is that a ridiculous defense?
Yes.
So is yours. Your son caused the accident, caused him to have 2 teeth that broke. It's his responsibility. And since he's 17 years old, it becomes your responsibility because he's a minor. Especially since if you tell me that you've been to these events and you know that's what happens, and if this is your minor son, you should have kept him home.
But now he never blamed Timothy. He came to me and it was a loan.
I am telling you that it's Timothy's responsibility and it falls on you. And if he wasn't smart enough then to say, listen, he caused the accident, he should be paying for the dental work. He's smart enough now. It's your responsibility. How old are you?
23 now.
And you were 22 at the time?
Yes.
You're 18 now?
19.
19?
Today.
19 today? What do you do?
I'm a musician.
Do you make a living at it?
At the moment, yes.
You do?
Yeah.
You should start paying your mother back for the money. Why don't you?
I don't have the money.
Why not?
Because I don't have that much. I don't make that much.
How much do you make?
Not a lot.
How much?
It's not set yet.
Yeah, it just started.
Oh, good. Well, you're 19, so you should start paying your mother back for the money. And he's got more dental work. What do you expect him to do with those bills? It's your fault.
Pay for them?
Right. That would be right.
Your Honor, he has made payments to me for the money, which
Well, he was absolutely wrong to make payments to you.
Well, when we started out, it was a loan.
He was absolutely wrong to make payments to you. And the fact that you conned him into thinking that he was responsible for his own dental bills is
I didn't
a problem.
con him, Your Honor. He took responsibility for
He
it.
was not responsible. Your son was responsible.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
He was not responsible for getting punched in the mouth and for having 2 teeth knocked out of his face. Your son was responsible. And if he would have been 18 years old, there's no question, he would have been responsible. He would have paid. The question is, he wasn't 18 years old. He was 17 years old. And therefore, his mother, who knows what kind of actions go on there, because she said, I go there myself, and I stand off to the side because I know it can be dangerous. You allowed him to go there.
Yes, but David
even worse.
was moshing at the time also.
Even worse. He didn't hurt anybody. If he had hurt somebody, he would have been responsible. If he had knocked out your son's teeth, he would have been responsible.
Yes, Your Honor, but his good luck was having someone he knew knock out his teeth and not some stranger at the show. Then he would have had no recourse.
He was very, very lucky. He was very, very lucky. Your claim is dismissed, Miss Malloy. He owes you absolutely nothing. You and your son, on the other hand, owe him on his counterclaim $1,123. Thank you very much.
Case number 374 on the calendar in the matter of Lagunas versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Lagunas, you sold a car to the defendant.
Yes, April Wilson.
And it is your claim that she failed to make all of the payments on the car?
Yes. She,
I didn't ask you a question.
Okay.
Miss Wilson, is the car in your name?
No.
In whose name is the car?
Maggie's.
Miss Lagunas?
Yes.
Where is the car located?
I have it parked at a friend's house.
Where is my question?
In Hammond.
Give me the address.
Michigan Avenue.
And what's the friend's name?
Amy.
Amy what?
Zacharias.
How long has the car been there?
Since September.
What is it doing there since September?
Hiding it.
I'm not speaking to you.
I'm hiding it.
You're not hiding it anymore. What's
Right.
Miss Zacharias' phone number?
8122.
Have you driven the car since September?
No.
Is it in her garage?
Yes.
How much do you still owe the plaintiff on the car?
About $5,000.
Good. Is this Amy? Amy Zacharias, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. How are you? Miss Zacharias, I have Miss Wilson here who tells me that you have a car parked in your garage that belongs to her. Is that correct? And how long has the car been parked there? Well, I want you to get as sure as you can because I'm sending a marshal over to pick up that car. Do you understand? Very good. The car does not belong to Miss Wilson. It belongs to someone else. And the marshal or the sheriff is going to come over and pick it up. I am advising you that if you move the car, I will advise the sheriff in your county that you have stolen property in your garage. Do you understand? Very good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Wow.
Yeah. You're going to go, listen to me very carefully. You're going to go outside and call the police department in your county. I've spoken to Ms. Zacharias. The car is, in fact, in her garage. I have told her that the sheriff will be coming over to pick up the car. Then you're going to get your car back. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now we're going to talk about the money that you've put into the car and how long you've had it. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't keep property that you haven't paid for. Do I make myself clear?
I understand that.
Perfect.
But the agreement wasn't made like that.
I don't care what the agreement was. You just told me that you owe $5,000
I do,
on
but
the car.
there was also an agreement that stuff was going to get fixed. The title was to
And
be
we
put
did.
in my name.
Shut up. I don't want to hear. Don't interrupt her.
The title was to be put in my name with a lien on it. I could not do anything with this car. They consistently took the car from my house, followed me,
I don't want.
stalked
Listen
me.
to me. You interrupt her again, I'm throwing you out. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, if you complain and if you don't want this deal, then you return the car, but you don't get to keep the car
I
without
want
paying
the car.
for it.
I want the car.
That's too bad. At
We
this
had
point.
an agreement,
That's
and I
too.
put
Listen to me.
$4,000
Listen to me.
into it.
Listen to me. I'm going to get to the $4,000 you put into it, but you can't keep it for nothing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. So she's going to get the car, and now I'm going to figure out how much of your $4,000 you're going to get back. Do you understand, Miss Lagunas?
Yes.
It's your car. The title is in your name.
And that's right.
I have just told Miss Zacharias she is to release the car to the sheriff. She understands that she's going to be in serious trouble if she doesn't do that.
Okay.
The car is yours. It hasn't been paid for. You are repossessing that car.
Yes.
Period. End of discussion. You got it?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, how many months did you have this car?
Since April. Maybe the end of March, April.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, October and a half. 7.5 months.
Yes.
And you have put how much into the car? $4,000
Yes.
in payments? The
And
car
not
was-
on top of everything I had to fix, which they did not do.
Listen to me. Do you have a contract in writing that indicates what they're supposed to fix?
It was all verbal.
Fine. So you've put in $4,000 in payments for the car.
Yes.
She was supposed to give me a down payment of $3,000, pay $200 every 2 weeks.
I don't care.
Okay.
You're getting your car back.
That's right.
But she's getting something. I mean, she used this car for 7 months. She's not going to use it for 7 months without paying for it. If you rented a car for 7 months for $300 a month is $2,100. So you deduct, let's say she paid $4,000 into the car.
But she didn't pay $4,000. It was $3,850.
Fine. You have proof that you paid her $4,000?
No, it was a rough estimate.
Oh, well, rough estimate. She said $3,850?
That's correct.
Minus $2,100 equals 0, 5, 7, $1,750. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Perfect.
So I'm out of a car now?
Yes,
Out of
car
the
you
money?
didn't pay for.
Well, why did I pay $4,000 now to lose
Just
a
a
car?
second. You didn't pay $4,000
Well,
for a car.
$3,850.
What you paid for was the equivalent of a car rental for $300 of a very nice
I
Ford
paid for a
Expedition.
car.
You didn't pay for it.
I have my
Make
witness-
believe it's a bank. When was the last time you made a payment?
August.
That's too bad. You're out of
But
luck.
they didn't go
The
with
car
their
is
agreement.
The car is
They
just
didn't go with their agreement.
repossessed. Listen to me. The car is now repossessed. They are going to take the car because you can't drive around
I
with somebody's
paid up
property
to
yourself.
August.
To June.
Just a second. Look at me.
We had an agreement, and this is my truck that I would have paid for if they would have went with their agreement. I paid up
You
until
was not
August.
paying your payments.
They didn't
Miss
put the
Lagunas,
title in my
Miss
name.
Lagunas, listen to me.
Yes.
She secreted the car,
I know.
and she did not pay for it for 3 months. You are repossessing the car. She doesn't like it. It's tough. She didn't make the payments. She hid the car so that you couldn't repossess it.
They were following me, putting my kids in danger, harassing
No, Your
my
Honor, I have the
job.
911
Miss
tape.
Lagunas, I don't want to hear you unless I ask you a question. Do
Okay.
you understand?
Yes.
Otherwise, you're out of here without your truck, period. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you again. Maybe if you dressed and covered your shoulders when you came to court, you would understand what court decorum is. Otherwise, be quiet unless I speak to you.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm treating it as if you rented her car. A bank would not do that for you.
A bank?
Just done. Listen to me. I'm treating. Just be quiet.
And later today,
You have no relation to this case whatsoever. Zero. You have nothing to do with this case. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
Perfect.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Margaret Lagunas claims former friend April Wilson owes for an SUV that she is currently hiding from her. April is countersuing for harassment, claiming Margaret endangered the lives of her and her children.
Now, go buy yourself a new car. You're getting $1,000. You're getting
$38.50 into it, plus the stuff I fixed.
Miss Wilson, I'm not going to bother with you anymore. You used her property, and you're getting back $1,750. I'm treating it as if you rented her car. A bank would not do that for you. Do you understand that? Listen to me. A bank would not do that for you. But I'm treating. Just be quiet. You didn't pay for it. It's being repossessed. You're getting back $1,750. Use it as a down payment for another car. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I put all this money into the car to now not have a car.
This is just the kind of person she is. She's done it to many other people.
And I get $1,750. Who's going to buy a car for $1,750?
It's been a game since we gave it to her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Squire versus Sarah Sorrow. Step forward, please.
Maureen Squire is suing her son, 19-year-old Matthew Sarasaro, for legal fees resulting from an ongoing court battle. Matthew says his mom won't let him see his 12-year-old sister.
All right, Miss Squire, you and your husband were divorced. You had 4 children. This is one of your children.
Yes, ma'am.
Oldest, youngest, in the middle?
Oldest.
And when you separated, which was in what year?
December of 2000.
When you separated, the children stayed with your husband. Is that correct?
Yes, they did.
And they remained with your husband until 2005, when you pursued custody of one of your children, your daughter. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And how old is that child?
She's 13.
And in 2005, she came to live with you.
Yes, she did.
Your first name is?
Matthew.
Matthew remained with his father?
Yes, ma'am.
And his other 2 siblings?
Marshall and Michael.
When Matthew turned 18, which must have been just recently, Matthew decided he wanted to pursue visitation with his sister. How long had it been since you saw your sister?
It'd been a year.
1 year?
1 year.
Had you tried to see her before that?
I had tried to email her. I had tried to call her.
How far do you live from your mother?
I really don't know where my mom lives, but I'd have to say more than a half an hour.
So you went to court to try to get visitation with your sister?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you try calling your mother?
I did.
What happened?
There's a call wave block on the phone, so every time you call, you have to give your name. There was a few times that I had called, and my mom would have been listening on the phone calls, so I did not feel that it was appropriate that she would listen on the phone calls between me and my sister. I didn't think that was needed.
Okay, so you went to court?
Yes, ma'am.
This is your lawsuit, Miss Squire. Your lawsuit says that your son abused the court process by taking you to court, and he did several things which, according to you, prolonged the litigation. And then ultimately, when the matter was set for trial, he didn't appear.
Yes, that's true.
So you want him to pay you for damages and pain and suffering and whatever. You say first he went to court, which he has an absolute right to do. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
So A, he has a right to seek visitation with his sister. He should be seeing his sister. But if he's not, he wants a judge to say this is when you can see her. So he went to court. That's not an abusive process. We agree on that?
Yes.
What county do you live in?
Dutchess County.
And what county do you live in?
Dutchess County, ma'am.
According to your mother, you tried to get the matter transferred from one county to another.
No, ma'am. I had filed the paperwork, which I have here in Dutchess County. The reason that it might move to another county, which was Orange County, is because my father is cousins with a family court judge in Dutchess County. All the judges in Dutchess County recused themselves, and the case got moved to Orange County. I had asked the county clerk if we could have it heard in Dutchess County because it provided an inconvenience for me to drive 40 minutes from my household and
to
40 minutes
Orange
back.
County, and
Right.
they said no.
They said no.
Now do you understand? One of the bases for your complaint that he abused you by abusing the court process, which you articulate here, is you say he tried to get the court county changed, but the judge denied that.
We went to court twice in front of Judge Reitz, and that is when Judge Reitz decided to let Judge Horowitz in Orange County handle the case.
Listen to me. First of all, you should both know that I know Judge Reitz. I don't think that makes any difference because I wouldn't do a favor for my grandmother if she was standing in front of me. What I'm trying to understand is the two of you live in Dutchess County.
Yes, ma'am.
You both wanted the case heard in Dutchess County. He wouldn't want it heard in another county. I assume you wouldn't want it heard in another county.
No, I'm satisfied that it's being heard in Orange County with Judge Horowitz because Judge Horowitz has been the judge on our case for the past 4 years.
Well, that, just a second. Put your hand down. Don't speak. Who are you?
The husband.
You have no relation to this case whatsoever. Zero. You're not the father of these 4 children?
No, ma'am.
You never stood in place of a father to him? You have nothing to do with this case. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You got to grow up, not him. You created this situation with his father.
No, I
You
didn't.
did. Oh, madam, there isn't a question in my mind that you created this situation because they're children.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Maureen Squire says her son, 19-year-old Matthew Sarasaro, owes for legal fees resulting from an ongoing lawsuit. Matthew says his mom refuses to let him see his 12-year-old sister.
Now, the next complaint that you have, Miss Squire, he also requested a public defender.
Yes.
Perfect. I would too if I were 18 years old and not familiar with the court process. I would too like to have a lawyer help to represent me. And if I didn't have money, I would ask the court to assign a lawyer to represent me. Why is that abusing the process?
He claimed to be a full-time student at the time of this court proceeding,
Who
and I
cares
have
if he was a full-time student or not? He was 18 years old.
Well, that was his claim, that he was a full-time student.
I
and
don't care if he
needed-
was a full-time student or a dropout. He was 18 years old. He should definitely have a lawyer to help represent him. I don't know whether you had a lawyer or not, but you're older and supposedly wiser. If he wanted the court to assign an attorney to him, that's his absolute right. And as far as I was concerned, if I were the family court judge sitting on that case, I would have assigned the panel attorney to represent him and charged the county.
Which was assigned to him, Your Honor. But
Perfect.
The issue is that he claimed to be a full-time student, and he was not. He withdrew from college.
So what? What was he doing?
I don't know.
Did he have money for a lawyer?
I don't know.
Did you have money for a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
Did you hire a lawyer?
I have the same attorney for the past 6 years.
Absolutely wonderful. He's 18. You're lucky you're not supporting him.
I was supporting him.
You're lucky you're
Your
not
Honor,
now.
She never takes child support.
Okay, then the next thing that you complain about, Ms. Squire, is that my attorney suggested at our May court date, all of these dates he appeared in, by the way, is that correct?
Up until June 15th.
Just listen to me. I said so far, all of these dates he appeared in.
Yes.
Then in May, your attorney, who you've had for
6 years.
6 years. Did you have an attorney in May?
No, ma'am. I've never had an attorney.
Just answer. Your lawyer spoke to him, and I assume the judge's court clerk and the judge, because I know the way that things go, and your attorney suggested, according to your complaint, at our May court date, because the matter was adjourned to May, that he could have supervised visitation with my daughter, provided her counselor was present. Matthew refused this solution.
Yes, he did.
Which is his absolute right. Just because your lawyer suggested it to him doesn't mean he has to agree. Just because your lawyer says, listen, I have a solution. You can see your sister as long as it's supervised by her counselor. He says, I don't want that. I want to go to trial. He's entitled to do that. So I'm crossing that out. My attorney suggested we have supervised visits, and Matthew refused this solution. So a trial date was set in June. When the trial date rolled around, I hired an expert witness and, of course, had my attorney, who you've had for 6 years, not with regard to a case involving him.
Yes.
He could not have had a case with you 6 years ago, madam. 6 years ago, he was 12.
He was also a part of a custody agreement with my ex-husband.
If you had to listen to me, Miss Squire, you had a lawyer with regard to a case involving your ex-husband.
And my children also had a law
He was
guardian.
not a party to that proceeding 6 years ago.
Okay.
But when that June date came around, Matthew did not show up.
No, he did not.
And that's what you're complaining about. And that's what you think shows an abusive process.
Yes, I do.
It doesn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Listen, you have no case, Miss Squire.
I have transcripts of the court.
Listen to me. You have no case. Your son did not abuse the process of the court. Your son asked for only things that were reasonable, that anybody would have asked for in his circumstance.
And he never once called me to ask to speak to his sister, to see his sister. We live 7 miles apart.
Miss Squire, if you were served with these papers, then you're the mother. You're the mother who left her children.
I didn't leave my children.
Yes,
I left
you did.
my husband.
7 years ago.
I left
you
my husband.
left your children with your husband 7 years ago. And as far as I'm concerned, the mother would have picked up the phone and called and said, Matt, you want to see your sister, sweetheart? See her. Come over and see her. I'll meet you at McDonald's. Her
That's not the
stepfather
way
will bring
Matthew
her.
wanted it. Matthew wanted to take her on his own and fill her head with stories about her father and the situation between us.
Listen, Miss Squire, that's your problem. That's in your head. That's why your son doesn't talk to you. That's not his problem. You're the grown-up. You got to grow up, not him. He's 18. You created this situation with his father.
No, I
You
didn't.
did. Oh, madam, there isn't a question in my mind that you created this situation because they're children. So the two adults who brought them into the world created the situation. You're supposed to fix it,
And the
not
adult
make
they
it
were
worse by
living
suing
with
him.
filled their head
Madam,
with-
your case is dismissed. It's nonsense.
Đây là cái sản phẩm sous vide Crocicid có cái công dụng là thứ nhất là sẽ giúp hỗ trợ và bổ sung cái DHA, omega 3, axit folic, sắt và các cái loại vitamin và khoáng chất cần thiết cho phụ nữ hoặc là những người chuẩn bị mang thai, trong quá trình mang thai và sau sinh hoặc là đang cho con bú. Thứ hai là sẽ giúp hỗ trợ tăng cái khả năng thụ thai. Thứ ba đó là bảo vệ cái thai kỳ được phát triển khỏe mạnh cả về thị giác, miễn dịch và cái hệ thần kinh và cái hệ tim mạch khi mà ở trong bụng mẹ. Thứ tư đó là tăng cái khả năng dung nạp cho cơ thể, không gây cái tình trạng táo bón hoặc là rối loạn về cái tiêu hóa. Thứ năm là sẽ làm giảm thiểu cái khả năng tiền sản giật và cái nguy cơ sinh non ở trẻ hoặc là tiểu đường về cái thai kỳ, và sẽ làm giảm cái tình trạng khó chịu trong cái thời kỳ mà phụ nữ mang thai. Và thứ năm đó là bồi bổ cái sức khỏe, tăng cái sức đề kháng cho mẹ và cả bé. Và thành phần chính thì gồm có như là omega 3, DHA, EPA, các cái loại vitamin như là vitamin B9, vitamin D3, các cái loại vitamin B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B12. Đó là những cái dưỡng chất, những cái vitamin mà rất là cần thiết cho mẹ bầu. Thì những ai mà đang có ý định mang thai hoặc là mẹ đang có em bé thì nên tìm hiểu cái dòng sản phẩm này để chúng ta bổ sung cho cả mẹ và bé.
A man uses his former friend of $800, claiming the defendant damaged his laptop for borrowing it. The defendant denies responsibility, arguing that laptop was already faulty. However, Judge Judy catches him in a lie after reviewing text message where he admits the laptop fell off his bed. She rules his favor on the plaintiff, ordering the defendant to pay for the damage. You sent a text admitting the laptop fell off your bed, so you did damage it. I mean, technically yes, but and there you have it, another case solved in Judge Judy's courtroom where the truth always wins. A man. She rules in favor of the plaintiff, ordering the defendant to pay the damage of case closed. Case closed.